Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 8:13. As expected, he can grow even stronger. Who are these three fellows exactly? The Idle Cloud Immortal King couldn't help but to praise. Before this, he ranked Qin Wentian in the third tier because Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian had both displayed their tyrannical strength while Qin Wentian didn't. Although Qin Wentian was powerful, he wasn't strong enough to stun the Idle Cloud Immortal King. It wasn't until this battle that Qin Wentian finally erupted. Fighting against the powerful Xiao Hong, Qin Wentian's body grew to a length of 500 meters, resembling a god of war, giving off a feeling that he was invincible and indestructible. Xiao Hong's attacks were already extremely powerful, but in the process of fighting against Qin Wentian, there was actually no way for him to display his true strength. Qin Wentian was like a giant, using overwhelming strength to crush everything, causing Xiao Hong to seem extremely tiny and inconsequential. Qin Wentian's methods weren't as dazzling as Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxuan's. However, the strength he displayed was the most tyrannical. From the start till the end, the feeling he gave off was that he was extremely powerful and nobody could defeat him. Qin Wentian, Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian. Any one of them in the entire Cloud Prefecture would be enough to cause any major powers to fight over them. They were strong enough to become the top ranker of any major power. These three characters were actually fellow apprentice brothers and came from the same sect. The Idle Cloud Immortal King couldn't help but to feel curious. He truly wanted to know which sect they came from. It should be impossible for them to be from a clan or clan. Their strengths were all different and the disparity was too great. Each of them had their own specialties and could only be from a sect or clan. The countenances of many major powers who had grudges with Qin Wentian were all extremely unsightly to behold. But they couldn't help but to admit how powerful Qin Wentian was. Defeating Xiao Hong was already sufficient to prove his name. His talent was something rarely seen in the entire Cloud Prefecture. Now, he can also be placed in my list of the most optimistic geniuses. The Idle Cloud Immortal King spoke in a low voice. No emotions could be heard in his voice. It's a pity for Xiao Hong. He's a peerless genius and he's already very strong. However, he lost so miserably. Even though he managed to keep his life, I wonder if he'll be able to pull himself together. The Idle Cloud Immortal King then turned his gaze onto the injured Xiao Hong. There were still traces of blood at the corners of Xiao Hong's lips. He stretched out his hand and wiped it away as he inclined his head and stared at the 1,500-meter tall figure on the Cloud Heaven Arena, as well as the 120,000-meter battle halo. The battle is not over yet. Xiao Hong walked to a certain location and closed his eyes to regulate his breathing. Although a lot of time had passed, there were still over 10 days left. These few days were sufficient for him to make a comeback and plunder enough battle chi to enter the top 1,000 rankings. However, he had to be more cautious. He couldn't afford to lose again. It's not that Xiao Hong isn't strong, he's already very outstanding. Even after suffering such a setback, he was still able to adjust himself so quickly and enter a state of meditation. Such a state of mind is truly extraordinary. Sadly, he encountered the even more outstanding Qin Wentian. The spectators silently mused as they inclined their heads and stared at the Cloud Heaven Arena. The 1,500-meter tall figure of Qin Wentian radiated runic light that illuminated the skies. Just by standing there, he already gave off a terrifying pressure. Even for the spectators on the neighboring arenas, they could feel the powerful battle chi radiating from Qin Wentian. That 120,000-meter battle halo was simply too terrifying. Senior brother, you are still the best, surpassing me in a single battle. Jun Mengqian grinned. His 100,000-meter battle halo was also extremely dazzling, but earlier, Qin Wentian's battle halo was only 60,000 meters. He only used a single battle to surpass Qin Wentian's. This should be the confidence of his senior brother. He wasn't in a hurry to plunder battle chi because in his eyes, the battle halos of all the experts on the Cloud Heaven Arena could all be plundered. As long as the battle halos hadn't reached the end, they might all be prepared for him. Boom! At this moment, Qin Wentian stepped out. His 1,500-meter tall battle god body clad in fiend god armor left the arena he was on and walked towards another. This scene caused the eyes of the spectators to narrow again. What was this fellow planning to do? At this moment, Qin Wentian was walking towards the battle platform of the Cloud Heaven Arena. It was the arena of a 5th-level ascendant. This 5th-level ascendant had a 100,000-meter battle halo around him, extremely dazzling. Evidently, he was also a supremely powerful heaven chosen. However, in front of Qin Wenqian's 120,000-meter battle halo, his battle halo instantly became much more ordinary. In addition to the fact that Qin Wenqian's 1,500-meter tall figure was pressing down on him, it was as though he wanted to crush the sharpness of his battle halo. Qin Wenqian is starting to fight against 5th-level ascendants. The hearts of the spectators trembled. What a madman! After defeating Xiao Hong, 4th-level ascendants were no longer able to satisfy his appetite. Next, he wanted to plunder the battle chi of 5th-level ascendants. A 120,000-meter battle halo had an incomparably tyrannical amplification effect. Just by relying on this amplification effect, his strength would increase by tens or even hundreds of times. To Qin Wenqian, fighting against 5th-level ascendants wasn't something difficult at all. On the contrary, if he fought against 4th-level ascendants, that would truly be bullying them. Most probably, among the demon-level characters of the Cloud Prefecture, there weren't any 4th-level ascendants who could contend against Qin Wenqian, who had a 120,000-meter battle halo. The 5th-level ascendant felt a stifling pressure when he saw Qin Wenqian's 1,500-meter figure pressing down on him. His eyes were incomparably sharp, as though they contained the light of a fiend god. Incomparably resplendent, unexcelled in the world. Your battle chi, I'll take it. Qin Wenqian spoke. After which he blasted out with his palms, blocking out the entire sky. That incomparably gigantic palm shone with a dazzling runic light. That palm imprint contained enough power to pluck down the constellations in the sky, destroying the sun and moon. Bastard! The 5th-level ascendant roared in rage, frenziedly resisting. However, he only saw boundless battle chi bringing along with it a towering palm imprint. Even space itself was being crushed, let alone humans. The millstone-like palm imprint directly smashed down, shattering all the strengthened attacks. With a thunderous boom, Qin Wenqian's palm imprint directly slammed into the battle platform, grabbing onto his opponent's body. Roar! Violent battle chi gushed forth, devouring the 10,000-meter battle chi halo of his opponent. The Cloud Heaven arena at the side also shot out beams of light. Instantly, Qin Wenqian's battle chi halo grew even more terrifying, reaching a height of 130,000 meters. Not only that, there was a violet gold luster to it. How dazzling was a 130,000-meter violet gold battle halo! Not only that, Qin Wenqian's conquest seemed to have just begun. His 1,500-meter gigantic body continued moving towards another battle platform. Over there, another 5th-level ascendant could be seen. Upon seeing the pressure from Qin Wenqian, his countenance stiffened. Although he had an 80,000-meter battle halo around him, he didn't have the confidence to win. With every step Qin Wenqian took, he felt as though the 80,000-meter battle halo around him was about to leave his body. Reality was just like what he had imagined. Qin Wenqian, who had a 130,000-meter violet gold battle halo, was already unblockable. With just a single strike he was injured. Although Qin Wenqian could take his life, he showed mercy. To him, as long as it wasn't those who wanted his life, he wouldn't kill them. It wasn't easy to cultivate, and if there wasn't any enmity between them, why would he want to take the lives of others? The violet gold glow of his battle halo grew even brighter, reaching a height of 140,000 meters, soaring up into the clouds. If it wasn't for the vision of those powerful experts, they wouldn't be able to see the end of the battle halo. Qin Wenqian, who was basking in the light of his battle halo, was like a god of war. He stepped out once more, and every step he took caused the 5th-level ascendants on the battle platform to tremble in fear. Although they were a level higher than Qin Wenqian, they still had no confidence to win against that 1,500-meter fiend god of war physique. Many experts on the battle platform halted their combat as they stared at Qin Wenqian, their hearts pounding. This bastard, was he going to surpass Gu Zhantian and become the one with the most dazzling battle halo? Gu Zhantian was at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon, and already had a battle halo of 180,000 meters. He was the one with the most battle halos, but Qin Wenqian was already on the verge of catching up to him. Not long after, the number of 5th-level ascendants on the 81 battle platforms became extremely few. Almost all of them had been plundered by Qin Wentian, causing those 5th-level ascendants with a 10,000-meter battle halo to no longer dare to step on the Cloud Heaven arena. At this moment, the battle halo radiating from Qin Wentian grew more and more resplendent, reaching a diameter of 170,000 meters. Soaring upwards, it was as though it was resonating with Gu Zhantian's battle halo. The two of them casually exchanged glances. Qin Wentian's gigantic frame exuded a tyrannical aura. No matter who his opponent was, his eyes would always be filled with indifference, filled with arrogance that towered up into the heavens. Gu Zhantian stood with his hands clasped behind his back, as though he wanted to oppose Qin Wentian with equal harshness. Stepping out, he walked towards a battle platform at the side. Over there was an 8th-level ascendant. Gu Zhantian also started to plunder the battle halo of higher-level experts. In order to not be surpassed by Qin Wentian, he had to seize the title of the top ranker of the Cloud Prefecture. This was his determination. No one would be able to surpass him. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian merely calmly glanced at Gu Zhantian. There was no battle intent radiating from him at all. It was as though he had no intentions of contending against Gu Zhantian at all, only to see him stepping out, directly landing on one of the battle platforms. This single step caused the hearts of countless people to tremble violently as they stared up in the air. Qin Wentian himself had no intentions of contending against Gu Zhantian, but this action of his seemed to be a provocation to Gu Zhantian. Even for Gu Zhantian, his eyes flashed with a dazzling light. This madman has gone mad. Many experts stared at Qin Wentian in the air. This was too crazy. Right now, the battle platform Qin Wentian was on was a 6th-level ascendant. Qin Wentian wanted to jump 2 levels, and for those who could reach here, they were all demon-level characters who could jump levels to do battle. This Qin Wentian, if he wasn't crazy, what else could it be? Chapter 8:14. Qin Wentian wanted to challenge a 6th-level ascendant, jumping 2 levels. After Gu Zhantian exchanged glances with him, Gu Zhantian started his journey. With a cultivation base at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon, he challenged an 8th-level ascendant, walking the same path as Qin Wentian, jumping levels to fight and seizing a violet gold battle halo. But right at this moment, Qin Wentian actually wanted to jump 2 levels? Everyone naturally felt that this was Qin Wentian declaring war against Gu Zhantian. If you want to jump a level, I'll be even more tyrannical than you, jumping 2 levels. Such courage caused people to tremble. His opponent that jumped 2 levels wasn't an ordinary character. He was also a heaven chosen that had a 10,000-meter battle halo. For those who could still stand on the Cloud Heaven arena as the arena lord, there was no weakling among them. Those who were weak wouldn't dare to stand on the arena, because their battle chi would only be plundered by others. Liu brandished his sword as sword chi gushed forth from him. His gaze was akin to an incomparably sharp sword, capable of penetrating through everything. Although Qin Wentian's body was only 500 meters tall, he could still feel a towering sword might that could threaten him. Liu's sword might was so terrifying that it could even threaten him. Liu was none other than Qin Wentian's opponent. His cultivation base was at the 6th level of celestial phenomenon, and he was an extremely powerful sword cultivator. His swordsmanship was shocking, and he had defeated many experts, seizing a 10,000-meter battle halo. In addition, many people knew that he only appeared on the Cloud Heaven arena very late, and didn't use too much time to seize his battle halo. This fellow Qin Wentian, he actually dared to challenge Liu of the Star Luo sword sect. His guts are simply too big, simply crazy. There were people below who recognized Liu. Liu was also quite famous. He was a heaven chosen from the Star Luo sword sect. Haha, Liu, the 7-star swordsman from the Starfall sword sect. His swordsmanship is extremely shocking. I'm afraid that even Qin Wentian's 170,000-meter battle halo won't be so stable this time. Even if his combat strength is shocking, there's still a gap between their cultivation levels. Liu isn't a pushover, said an expert who was familiar with Liu's strength. The experts from the Stargather sword sect also arrived. When they saw this scene, their eyes gleamed with sword light. An old man then spoke. This is a rare opportunity for Liu. Once he defeats Qin Wentian, he would have a battle halo of 180,000 meters. Other than Gu Zhantian, there's no one else who could achieve this. After that, he doesn't even need to fight. He only needs to rest below. 180,000 feet was an extremely terrifying number. Even after this round of selection ended, not many people would be able to reach it. There would definitely not be more than 10 people. Your combat courage is truly admirable. Li Yu's eyes were like two sharp swords, staring at the gigantic figure before him. There was actually no trace of fear in his eyes, only an incomparably blazing battle intent. He was Li Yu, a sword genius from the Stargather sword sect. Facing against a character 2 levels lower than him, how could he lose his confidence? No matter how strong Qin Wentian was, he had to maintain an incomparably intense self-confidence. This was the self-confidence of a swordsman. If a swordsman didn't even have self-confidence, how would his sword be able to unleash its brilliance? However, in this battle, you will lose the 170,000-meter battle halo you obtained. Li Yu's voice was incomparably calm. Abruptly, a terrifying sword chi tempest manifested on the battle platform. In the air, an incomparably resplendent diagram appeared. This diagram enveloped the heavens and earth, resembling a gigantic sword diagram, yet also resembling a sword formation diagram. It floated in the air, containing boundless sword might. Beams of sword chi shot out, enveloping Li Yu. At this moment, Li Yu was like a supreme sword saint. His entire person was like a sword. I'm also proficient in the sword. Qin Wentian's body was 1,500 meters tall, incomparably gigantic. It felt as though he only needed a single slap to crush Li Yu into meat paste. However, he wouldn't underestimate his opponent. Although the Driftsnow Master's Dharma body could allow him to grow stronger, if his opponent had sufficient strength, he would still be able to destroy him. His sword slaughter constellation manifested. Qin Wentian's gigantic body was enveloped by boundless sword might. Both of them were akin to swords. Qin Wentian's sword was tyrannical, akin to a king of swords, able to dominate everything. As for Li Yu's sword, it had a life of its own, able to destroy everything, containing a fearsome destructive might. Only to see Li Yu stepping out, his entire person transformed into a beam of sword light. In an instant, he appeared before Qin Wentian and slashed out with his sword. The constellation diagram in the air shimmered as a 100-meter-long beam of sword light sliced through the air, leaving behind a trail of white light. If this beam of sword light landed on Qin Wentian's body, even his gigantic body would be severed into two. Qin Wentian waved his hands as the sword slaughter constellation in the air gleamed with a dazzling light. Numerous terrifying sharp swords descended, transforming into a screen of resplendent sword light. However, Li Yu's sword directly slashed out, cleaving apart the screen of sword light cleanly. Evidently, if Qin Wentian only wanted to borrow the power of the sword slaughter constellation, it would be impossible for him to block Li Yu's sword. The attacks of a 6th-level ascendant naturally wouldn't be so simple. Only to see a terrifying black-colored gigantic sword slashing out. With a thunderous boom, the entire space trembled. That black-colored gigantic sword was like a king of swords, capable of slaying everything. Li Yu's sword slashed out, colliding with the black-colored gigantic sword as a ring-shaped beam of sword light radiated outwards, causing Qin Wentian to stomp on the ground. Resplendent runic light covered his body, allowing the beam of sword light to land on him, yet it had no way to break through his tyrannical physique. However, as the sword light descended, Qin Wentian suddenly felt his hairs standing on their ends as a terrifying sense of danger bore down on him. After which, he saw Li Yu standing right in front of him. The sword chi diagram in the air enveloped Li Yu, as though it was draped over his body. The second sword strike slashed out, slashing upwards from the bottom. This sword strike was known as Heaven's Line, and as the sword descended, a line appeared in the sky, moving upwards from the bottom to the top. If it struck its target, it would be cleaved into two. Bang! Qin Wentian's body soared up into the air. Although he was 500 meters tall, his speed was still as fast as lightning. The black-colored gigantic sword slashed downwards as a terrifying vortex of sword chi appeared, capable of lacerating everything. Qin Wentian glanced at Li Yu. He only saw Li Yu's silhouette transforming into a beam of sword light, disappearing from sight in an instant. In the next instant, Li Yu appeared at the waist area of Qin Wentian. sweeping out with his sword. That terrifying sword strike contained a fearsome might. Liu made use of the advantage of his small stature to fully unleash his shocking swordsmanship. Qin Wentian's terrifying palm imprints circulated with fearsome runic inscriptions as he directly grabbed towards the terrifying sword strike in front of him. His palm contained a suppressive might that could suppress everything. It was even more terrifying compared to divine weapons. Bang! The sword slashed onto the gigantic palm imprint, causing resplendent astral light to burst forth. Qin Wentian only felt a burning pain in his palm. That sword light seemed to want to sever his invincible palm imprint, but at the same time, Liu also felt a terrifying tremor of destruction. That gigantic palm imprint that could pluck the sun, moon and stars from the heavens slammed over, causing the entire space to tremble. Liu's silhouette was like a bolt of lightning as he dissipated. He stood in the air, the sword diagram floating above his head shone on him, causing his entire being to glow with resplendent light. He was bathed in supreme sword might, incomparably dazzling. Liu understood that even if he could injure Qin Wentian with his swift swordsmanship, he wouldn't be able to injure him. If he wanted to defeat his opponent, he would have to rely on even stronger attacks. Although you are a swordsman, how can you be compared to a pure swordsman like me? Liu slashed out with his palms as an incomparably gigantic sword diagram appeared beneath his feet, resonating with the sword diagram in the air. That sword diagram was incomparably resplendent as it circulated frenziedly. Numerous swords manifested from the sword diagram, as well as the silhouettes of Liu. Boom! A heaven-destroying sword might abruptly erupted, colliding with the sword diagram beneath Liu's feet. Boundless destructive sword chi manifested from the two sword diagrams, causing the entire space to turn illusory. The silhouettes of Liu danced with their swords at the same time. Die! A cold voice rang out. The 7 Liyes were akin to the constellations of the Big Dipper, all of them attacking at the same time in 7 different directions. Each and every one of their swords emitted beams of light that were thousands of meters long. The sword light was extremely dazzling, capable of annihilating everything as it pierced towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian waved his palms as the king's sharp sword pierced through the air. Instantly, boundless sword might gushed forth, colliding with the Big Dipper sword. The might of the Big Dipper sword was incomparably resplendent, akin to 7 shooting stars streaking across the sky, directly penetrating through the defense of the king's sword and continuing on towards Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian slashed out with his palms as an incomparably gigantic ancient shield appeared in the air. He blasted out with both his palms, causing the ancient shield to glow with boundless light as rumbling sounds rang out, followed by cracking sounds. The Big Dipper sword once again broke through his defense and continued on its way towards Qin Wentian. Destroy! Qin Wentian's palms covered the sky as light flashed. This time around, his palms finally managed to block the remnant might of the Big Dipper sword. However, Liu's second sword strike arrived. It was still the Big Dipper sword art, but this time around, each of the 7 swords contained the destructive might of thunder and lightning. A 7-star swordsman truly lives up to his reputation. The spectators sighed in their hearts when they saw this scene. Truly powerful. That battle platform was filled with sword might. Yet it was completely controlled by Liu's sword might. Busy. A dazzling golden light radiated from Qin Wentian as a violet gold astral soul manifested. In the air, numerous figures that resembled divinities appeared. Behind Qin Wentian, a violet gold shadow could be seen. It was over 1,000 meters tall, and its entire body shone with runic light. Purple gold astral soul. He truly has a violet gold astral soul. The spectators had long guessed that Qin Wentian had a violet gold astral soul. His suppression constellation contained a hint of violet gold luster, but when he truly released his astral soul, it still caused the hearts of the spectators to tremble. Qin Wentian blasted out with his fist. Momentarily, numerous gigantic figures rushed out, suppressing the destructive might of the Big Dipper sword. The sword chi was no longer as frenzied as before. Die! Qin Wentian roared in rage. He soared into the air as the gigantic figure behind him radiated boundless divine light. Beams of destructive might radiated forth unceasingly, transforming into numerous terrifying silhouettes of suppression that shot out, enveloping this entire space. If Liu was just an ordinary 6th-level ascendant, He wouldn't even be able to withstand the destructive might of his astral soul. The violet gold constellation can directly suppress everything. Just by standing there, Liu can launch an attack. The hearts of the spectators trembled as they sighed in admiration at how powerful Qin Wentian was. Chapter 8:15. An incomparably tyrannical suppressive might collided with Liu's indomitable sword technique. A terrifying light of destruction radiated from the battle platform. The spectators only saw boundless suppressive might blasting outwards as numerous divine-like figures lunged towards Liu. At the same time, Qin Wentian's fists and palms blasted out, shaking the heavens and earth. Liu had a sword diagram above his head and a sword formation beneath his feet. 7 constellations revolved around him as he slashed out one sword after another. Each sword strike contained a supreme might as the humming of swords shook the heavens and earth. What a powerful collision! The two of them must have gone mad from the battle. The spectators stared at the battle platform. Qin Wentian stepped out step by step. Under the might of that supreme sword might, his suppressive might grew stronger and stronger, not retreating at all. He wanted to use his suppressive might to destroy everything, suppressing Liu's sword technique, only to see Qin Wentian waving his hand as a terrifyingly long spear manifested. He rushed out as a boundless divine glow circulated around him. At the instant the long spear shot out, a formless pressure enveloped this entire space. After which, rumbling sounds of suppression rang out, as though the entire space was on the verge of shattering. The sword light within Qin Wentian's long spear was simply too terrifying, causing Liu's sword technique to be disrupted. Boom! Stepping out again, Qin Wentian's silhouette got closer and closer to Liu. His long spear shone with boundless light as the light from his constellation shone on it. Light flowed around the tip of the spear, containing a marvelous law energy within. Bang! Another spear strike. This spear strike contained the insights Qin Wentian gained during his 2 years in the combat realm. Boundless energy gathered at the tip of the spear before radiating outwards. A burst of spear light flashed. This entire space seemed to be the absolute space of the spear. Sword techniques would instantly shatter upon contact. Liu felt an irresistible force boring down on him. His 7-star sword might frenziedly gushed forth, causing the sword diagrams to fly out unceasingly. However, all of them were directly shattered by the spear light. Although the long spear was very small, the tip of the spear seemed to contain all the energy from Qin Wentian's constellation as well as his astral soul. Boundless energy gathered at a single point, causing the might unleashed to be even more terrifying. Bang bang bang! This spear was like a hot knife through butter, destroying everything in its path. Liu explosively retreated. His long sword danced about, yet it was directly shattered. Chi! A light sound rang out. The spear light directly pierced into Liu's chest, causing Liu's movements to halt. With a roar of rage, a 170,000-meter battle halo manifested, engulfing Liu's battle halo. That destructive might that could destroy the heavens and earth abruptly vanished. Qin Wentian stood there with his long spear in his hands, staring at Liu as he spoke. "You have lost." Liu glanced at the spear that pierced through his chest. Although it penetrated through his body, it didn't destroy his vitality. Evidently, Qin Wentian had shown mercy. Such an injury wasn't enough to be fatal to a powerful celestial phenomenon ascendant. Liu cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian before he turned and flew down the battle platform. This battle, he had nothing to say about his defeat. Even a 6th-level ascendant was defeated by him. He's simply too powerful. The hearts of the spectators sighed in admiration. At this moment, above Qin Wentian's head, a 180,000-meter violet gold battle halo could be seen, incomparably resplendent. However, Qin Wentian wasn't the most dazzling. When he fought against Liu, Qin Wentian consecutively defeated 2 opponents and the battle halo around him had already reached 200,000 meters. However, the luster of his battle halo wasn't as dazzling as Qin Wentian's. Because Qin Wentian jumped 2 levels to defeat Liu, the luster of his battle halo was even more dazzling. In addition, the amplification effect of his battle halo was even stronger. At this moment, Gu Zhantian glanced at the battle platform where Qin Wentian was at as he spoke in a low voice. "Sadly, your cultivation base is too low. As the sound of his voice faded, countless gazes turned to Gu Zhantian. Before this, the two of them already seemed to be contending against each other. Although Qin Wentian didn't have such intentions, his actions made everyone feel that he was fighting against Gu Zhantian, seizing the most dazzling battle halo. And right now, Gu Zhantian's words seemed to be a reply to Qin Wentian. No one would be able to snatch his position as the top ranker away. If your cultivation base is higher, there wouldn't be a need for you. A voice rang out, causing the eyes of everyone to turn to the handsome young man, Jun Mingchen. His lips curled into a faint smile as he stared at Gu Zhantian. His eyes gleamed with a bright light, as though he didn't place Gu Zhantian in his eyes at all, despite the fact that Gu Zhantian's battle halo was the most dazzling. You have the most battle halo because you are always at the bottom, seizing it from whoever you see. As for my senior brother Qin, he has always been guarding his own battle platform and has never gone down before, accepting all challenges. It wasn't until a few battles not long ago that he started to truly seize his battle halo. But even so, he still managed to catch up to you. If he used the same method as you, regardless if it was me or senior brother Qin, our battle halos would have already reached over 200,000 meters long. Jun Mingchen casually spoke. Gu Zhantian turned his gaze onto him as he smiled. Is that so? In that case, you guys can try and see if your battle halo can surpass mine. Humph, Jun Mingchen coldly snorted. He stepped out and was about to accept the challenge when he heard Qin Wentian's voice. Mingchen? Senior. Jun Mingchen turned his gaze over, staring at Qin Wentian. What use is battle qi to us? Qin Wentian spoke. This is merely the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture. This place isn't our goal. Jun Mingchen's countenance flickered as a dazzling light flickered in his eyes. After which he nodded. Senior brother Qin is right. This place is merely the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture. Our goal is the Dongshangshan Gate. What arrogant words. Gu Zhantian laughed in a low voice. Although the number 1 battle halo is dazzling, when compared to the increase in strength, battle qi can be discarded. Qin Wentian faintly spoke. Jun Mingchen smiled and nodded. Senior brother is right. I will definitely learn from you. This is just my opinion. Mingchen, if you have your own thoughts, just follow your heart. Qin Wentian nodded to Jun Mingchen. Qin Wentian was very fond of the personality of this junior brother of his. When he was quiet, he was like a delicate and handsome young man, neither arrogant nor rash. But when he was in battle, his arrogance towered up into the heavens. I'm the king, who dares to contend against me? Also, although he was arrogant, he was very respectful to both him and Zi Qingxian. From this, one could see that Qin Wentian was extremely kind. The reason why he reminded Jun Mingchen was because he pursued the opinions of others too much. Naturally, if Jun Mingchen was someone who couldn't persuade himself, Qin Wentian wouldn't say anything. After all, the heavenly talisman realm was a special power. It was normal for fellow disciples to be at loggerheads with each other. Although they were both disciples of the heavenly talisman realm, if their personalities weren't compatible, there was no need for them to interact too closely. It was only because he liked Jun Mingchen's carefree and unrestrained personality that he truly treated him as a good friend. This was why he would talk about this. Understood. Jun Mingchen nodded. It was just that he was thinking, was his senior brother fighting so crazily because he wanted to temper his combat prowess? What a joke. A mocking voice drifted over. Gu Zhantian stood with his hands clasped behind his back, staring in the direction of Qin Wentian as he emotionlessly spoke. It's like I'm not seizing battle qi to increase my combat prowess. Standing on the Cloud Heaven arena, I want to temper my combat prowess, and at the same time, I want to seize the most dazzling battle qi halo. What contradiction is there? Your words are too hypocritical. Qin Wentian glanced at Gu Zhantian. Gu Zhantian's figure was tall and slender, exuding a fearsome aura. Just casually standing there, he gave off an aura of supremacy. It was as though he wouldn't allow anyone to be more outstanding than him. Just like what he said, since he stood on the Cloud Heaven arena, he wanted to seize the most dazzling battle qi halo, only to see Qin Wentian soaring up into the air. After that, he took a step out, and with just a single step, his 1,500-meter body traversed the distance. His gigantic frame directly appeared on Gu Zhantian's battle platform, appearing so suddenly. Below the Cloud Heaven arena, the clamoring crowd gradually quietened down. The mouths of many experts were agape as they stared in astonishment at the scene in the air. Even for the experts on the idol cloud immortal king's side who were seated on the thrones in the air, they couldn't help but be stunned, not regaining their senses. Qin Wentian, he actually walked up to the cloud heaven arena where Gu Zhantian was. This wasn't simply madness, it was courting death. What cultivation base did Gu Zhantian have? He was at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon and was also the one with the most dazzling battle chi halo from the start of the selection round. Although Qin Wentian was already a demon-level genius, he was 3 levels lower than Gu Zhantian. If this wasn't courting death, what was it? If it was said that Qin Wentian might be able to defeat ordinary 7th level ascendants, the spectators might believe it. But this was Gu Zhantian with a 200,000-meter battle halo. Who could contend against him? Gu Zhantian was also stunned by the arrival of Qin Wentian. Although he had a verbal dispute with Qin Wentian, he didn't expect that Qin Wentian would dare to step onto this arena. This was his territory, no one would dare to take the initiative to challenge him. At the very least, in the selection round of the Cloud Prefecture, it was impossible for such a person to exist. Let me see how strong you are. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. His battle chi gushed forth as he clutched the long spear in his hands tightly. A violet gold astral soul flashed as a constellation appeared in the air. Gu Zhantian laughed maniacally. Both his hands trembled as a towering battle might gushed forth from him. Overestimating your own capabilities, Gu Zhantian stepped out. Although Qin Wentian's body was 500 meters in size, Gu Zhantian's steps were filled with absolute confidence. Behind him, a violet gold flood dragon manifested, exuding a boundless might. In the air, numerous flood dragons could be seen floating in the air, devouring the heavens and earth, causing the entire space to turn violent. Gu Zhantian also has a violet gold astral soul. These two were both supreme geniuses. Sadly, Qin Wentian's cultivation base was too weak. The disparity between him and Gu Zhantian was too great. If only he was at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon, the two of them would be able to fight against each other at the pinnacle. Boom! Gu Zhantian punched out. A violet gold flood dragon could be seen coiling around his fist, roaring in rage. Numerous gigantic dragons howled, incomparably malevolent, wanting to devour Qin Wentian, shaking the heavens and earth. Although Gu Zhantian's stature was very small and inconspicuous in front of Qin Wentian, a single strike of his contained enough power to shake Qin Wentian. Chapter 8:16. Qin Wentian's body glowed with a terrifying blood-colored light, as a demonic light flashed in his eyes. His gigantic frame at this instant radiated a demonic glow, resembling a supreme demonic lord of the generations. His long spear trembled as he stabbed out explosively. Numerous flood dragons howled as they swallowed the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian's long spear was entangled with a violet gold flood dragon. That flood dragon roared unceasingly as it emitted a heaven-shaking might. The other flood dragons all rushed over, wanting to devour Qin Wentian whole. Qin Wentian stomped on the ground as an even more intense violet gold light erupted forth. He summoned his constellation, and above his constellation, there seemed to be numerous astral war beasts that howled madly as they rushed out, clashing against the violet gold flood dragons. Humph! Gu Zhantian coldly snorted when he saw this scene. A 1,000-meter-long flood dragon coiled around his body as it soared through the air. The flood dragon's palm actually lifted him up to its head. Gu Zhantian, who stood on the head of the flood dragon, exuded an aura of a king. His robes fluttered in the wind, exuding an unexcelled aura, after which Gu Zhantian stepped out. His body trembled as a terrifying violet gold battle dragon glow enveloped him within, incomparably resplendent. How can you fight against me? Gu Zhantian coldly snorted as he grabbed out with his palms. Instantly, an indomitable flood dragon arm stretched out, capable of breaking apart all defenses as it grabbed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's countenance turned solemn as his battle intent soared to the extreme. The suppressive might of his constellation was completely shattered when it blasted out. It had no way to block Gu Zhantian's attack at all. He gripped his long spear tightly as his silhouette shuddered. His 1,500-meter frame body stabbed out with a 300-meter-long spear, causing the entire space to freeze, as though it was about to collapse under this spear strike. Gu Zhantian's flood dragon arm turned golden in color and contained a terrifying destructive might within. For a heaven chosen like Gu Zhantian, his innate techniques naturally contained the might of his constellation. That was the fusion of true intents. Although one could see the power of a simple claw, it was definitely not an ordinary claw. It was just like Qin Wentian's spear technique. It contained a terrifying suppressive might as well as a powerful force field, capable of suppressing everything. The current Qin Wentian, regardless of his star-seizing palm imprint or his spear arts, all of them grew stronger as his strength grew stronger, as well as his comprehension of the martial path. He infused his own comprehensions into his attacks, causing the might to shake the heavens. His grab only seemed to contain the might of the star-seizing palm imprint, but in truth it contained a suppressive might as well as a suppressive might. When the terrifying long spear collided with the violet gold flood dragon arm, the long spear actually shattered into pieces. That terrifying attack was about to hit Qin Wentian's body when a towering runic light circulated in his palms. A terrifying rumbling sound rang out as Qin Wentian's body was forced back to the edge of the cloud heaven arena. He groaned in pain as traces of blood could be seen on his palms. However, Qin Wentian straightened his back and stood there like a towering mountain, as though he would never fall. His eyes shone with vigor as his battle intent towered up into the sky. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out, and at this moment, he didn't continue using his spear. Instead, he directly dashed out and cleaved out with both his palms. Astral light flashed as his constellation shone on his palms. Such a heaven-shaking might even cause the spectators on the cloud heaven arena to feel fear in their hearts. Do you think it's useful? Gu Zhantian's long robes fluttered in the wind as he spoke in cold arrogance. His entire body seemed to be enveloped by a true violet gold flood dragon, transforming into a 10,000-meter-long flood dragon. As he blasted out with his palms, the flood dragon roared and blasted out with its arms. The attacks of the two of them collided once again. Qin Wentian's body trembled violently, but he was only forced back a single step before he launched another attack. His constellation erupted forth, radiating boundless light as it blasted out unceasingly. Gu Zhantian coldly laughed as the flood dragon howled unceasingly. The spectators below only saw a 10,000-meter-long flood dragon rampaging about. Under the attacks of the flood dragon, Qin Wentian continuously fought with his life on the line. This was a battle between a flood dragon and a giant, and it was extremely brutal. The giant was forced back many times as blood flowed unceasingly from his mouth. Yet, it seemed as though the flood dragon would never give up. The flood dragon grew even more enraged as it completely rampaged about. Gu Zhantian coldly stared at Qin Wentian. Unreasonable. Since you want to court death so much, I shall grant you your wish. As the sound of his voice faded, he howled in madness. The entire space trembled as numerous violet gold flood dragon shadows appeared in the air, incomparably resplendent. The flood dragon king roared as the flood dragons all attacked at the same time, radiating boundless light. Their violet gold flood dragon arms grabbed towards Qin Wentian, wanting to tear him into pieces. Qin Wentian also howled in madness as demonic qi towered up into the sky. His body soared up into the air as the astral light from his constellation cascaded downwards, enveloping him. He was like a divinity capable of destroying everything. Die! With a thunderous roar with Qin Wentian in the center, numerous silhouettes of annihilation blasted out in all 8 directions, defending against the incoming attacks. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out in the air as the violent turbulence churned. Qin Wentian, who was in the center of the turbulence, felt as though he was about to be drowned, only to see Gu Zhantian stepping out. At this moment, there were no more draconic shadows around him. He was the only one left. He lifted his hands as a boundless divine glow radiated from his fist, shooting up into the clouds. Gu Zhantian's eyes flashed with a cold light. He blasted out with his war god fist, causing the heavens and earth to distort as he penetrated through the void, aiming for the center of the turbulence. Bang! A heavy sound rang out, causing the hearts of the spectators to pound. Rumble! Yet another incomparably heavy sound rang out. After which, the spectators only saw the battle halo around Gu Zhantian shooting out, wanting to devour something. At the same time, A gigantic silhouette was blasted away by the force of that punch. It was unknown if it was dead or alive. Senior brother. Jun Mingchen's countenance stiffened as he stared in the distance. Even Zi Qingxuan's beautiful eyes froze as she stared in the direction of Qin Wentian. As for the other experts, they were all staring at Gu Zhantian. A 380,000-meter battle halo seemed to have become a legend that couldn't be surpassed. The battle chi of the first and second rankers were all concentrated on a single person. This scene was simply too shocking. The Gu Zhantian at this moment was too dazzling, like a supreme war king that no one could contend against. Overestimating your own capabilities, Gu Zhantian coldly spat out as he retracted his battle chi. However, the 180,000-meter battle halo was still there. Just by standing there, he was already radiating resplendent light in all directions. Although Qin Wentian is strong, the disparity between their cultivation bases is still too great. 3 levels higher and Gu Zhantian himself is already a peerless genius. How can he fight against Qin Wentian? The hearts of the spectators mused. Jumping 3 levels to challenge you? In your eyes, I'm merely overestimating my own capabilities. At this moment, Zi Qingxian coldly spoke. She stared at Gu Zhantian as she continued. If it was you, Gu Zhantian, would you have such courage? Gu Zhantian's countenance flickered. He stared at Zi Qingxian as he replied. Such courage, isn't it stupidity? If you exchanged a perspective with him, you would never have such confidence. But naturally, if you exchanged a perspective with him, he is 3 levels higher than you. Why would there be a need for such a battle? Most probably, he would be able to crush you with a single lift of his palm. Zi Qingxian calmly spoke. As the sound of her voice faded, expressions of interest appeared on the faces of the spectators. Exchanging a single sentence, there was already a disparity of 6 levels. Indeed, the ending would be extremely interesting. What you said is too hypocritical. Gu Zhantian faintly spoke. At this moment, beside the idol cloud immortal king, Zhou Zhan from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor spoke. 180,000 meters of battle halo. After this battle, the greatest winner of the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture would undoubtedly be Gu Zhantian. The idol cloud immortal king smiled. That depends on how you view it. I don't feel that Gu Zhantian is the winner and Qin Wentian is the loser. At the very least, Qin Wentian has achieved his objective. From my perspective, this is even more important compared to obtaining battle halos. As the sound of his voice faded, Zhou Zhan furrowed his brows. After which, he extended his perception outwards only to see Qin Wentian standing in the air far away. Qin Wentian's aura fluctuated wildly as an unusual aura circulated around him. The countenances of the other experts all changed. Many of them had unsightly expressions on their faces. First, he fought against Li Yu before fighting against Gu Zhantian. It wasn't purely for the sake of seeking a battle. He wanted to borrow external force to break through and achieve a breakthrough. Although he hasn't broken through to the immortal foundation realm, he's already at the 4th level of celestial phenomenon. It's not easy to break through to the next level and he needs timing. Now that he gained insights from battle, it's no longer important for him to give up on his battle halo. The idol cloud immortal king admired Qin Wentian very much. And indeed, an instant later, the spectators saw Qin Wentian walking towards the battle platform. When he saw the 180,000-meter battle halo around Gu Zhantian, his eyes were extremely calm. Many thanks for your battle halo. Gu Zhantian spoke with cold arrogance, unexcelled in the world. An indifferent smile flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes, as though he couldn't be bothered. After which, he slowly walked towards a battle platform. Over there was the platform where the supreme genius of the Amorsi's residence, Zhuge Yu, was at. A battle halo of over 10,000 meters revolved around her, resplendent and resplendent. A 300-meter-long spear appeared. Qin Wentian stabbed out, bringing with it a supreme suppressive might. Zhuge Yu's countenance abruptly changed. That supreme pressure seemed to want to crush her as an incomparably tyrannical aura gushed forth from her. Bang! A terrifying rumbling sound rang out. Zhuge Yu, who was also a supreme genius at the same cultivation level as Qin Wentian, was blasted off the battle platform by a single spear strike from Qin Wentian. In just an instant, another 50,000-meter battle halo appeared around Qin Wentian. How tyrannical! The expressions of the spectators stiffened. They were both supreme geniuses, but Zhuge Yu actually appeared so weak in front of him. This Qin Wentian was simply too domineering, even if he was defeated by Gu Zhantian. If you want a battle halo, you can obtain it any time. Qin Wentian emotionlessly spoke, yet his voice gave off a sense of extreme arrogance. However, he did indeed have the qualifications to do so. Many thanks for your strength. Maybe in the Eastern Prefecture, there would still be a chance for us to fight. Qin Wentian calmly stared at Gu Zhantian, after which, he descended the battle platform and an instant later, he came to a location and sat down cross-legged. His aura fluctuated intensely, as though he was about to break through. Upon seeing this scene, Gu Zhantian's countenance turned ashen. Although he was victorious and obtained a 380,000-meter battle halo, was he really the winner? Although his battle halo was extremely dazzling, in the face of stellar martial cultivators who disregarded everything to pursue a higher cultivation level, it wasn't even worth mentioning. For the sake of breaking through, Qin Wentian challenged Gu Zhantian, and even sacrificed a 180,000-meter battle halo. Chapter 8:17. Everyone could also feel the intense fluctuations of aura radiating from Qin Wentian. Astral light flashed as a humming sound rang out from his body, causing the entire space to tremble. What a huge commotion! Qin Wentian is actually about to break through. The crowd was shocked. In an instant they finally understood. No wonder Qin Wentian would suddenly erupt forth after a long period of silence. First, he fought against a 5th-level ascendant, and after that, he fought against a 6th-level ascendant, Li Yu. And even after defeating Li Yu, he didn't stop and went on to challenge the 7th-level ascendant, Gu Zhantian. He wasn't fighting for the sake of seizing battle qi, or he would have better choices. For example, Zhuge Yu. If he defeated her, he would be able to seize a 50,000-meter battle halo, surpassing Gu Zhantian. But before this, he didn't challenge Zhuge Yu. Instead, he chose to break through to the next level instead. Clearly, Qin Wentian could sense that he had already reached a critical point. He wanted to use external energy to stimulate himself and achieve a breakthrough. Evidently, he succeeded. After that, he seized Zhuge Yu's 50,000-meter battle halo. This was merely to preserve his ranking. With this 50,000-meter battle halo, it was impossible for Qin Wentian to be ranked below the top 1,000. If he wanted battle qi, he could seize it with a lift of his hand. But before the pursuit of a stellar martial cultivator, even if it was a 180,000-meter battle halo, he could still give it up without any hesitation. Even if it was just an opportunity to break through, even if he might not be able to do so, he still didn't hesitate and chose to challenge it. From the looks of it, was Qin Wentian really the loser? Although Gu Zhantian's 380,000-meter battle halo was extremely dazzling, Qin Wentian had already broken through to the next level. Both of them could be considered winners. It's just that thinking about it, Gu Zhantian's 380,000-meter battle halo didn't seem as dazzling as before. What senior brother Qin has isn't merely courage. Compared to him, you are still lacking by quite a bit. Jun Mengchen stared at Gu Zhantian as he spoke, his words causing Gu Zhantian's expression to turn heavy. After that, he laughed maniacally. I've won the battle and was just short of taking his life. But in your eyes the difference is too great. What a joke. If there's a next time we fight, I will definitely not give him a chance to live. After speaking, Gu Zhantian stepped out and directly moved towards another battle platform. Facing against an 8th-level ascendant, Gu Zhantian blasted out with a fist light, sweeping through everything. The War God fist directly blasted his opponent off the platform, devouring the battle halo of his opponent. Such might cause the hearts of the spectators to tremble. After the augmentation of his 380,000-meter battle halo, his pure strength was already sufficient to contend against 8th-level ascendants. On the battle platform of the Cloud Heaven Arena, who could contend against him? As expected, at the end there would be no more opportunities. I have to be extremely cautious even when I'm on the Cloud Heaven Arena. Everyone speculated in their hearts. Those experts had already condensed terrifying battle qi halos. If they tried to seize battle qi now, they would immediately be targeted. Once they seized a certain amount of battle qi, they would become their prey. With such a powerful battle qi halo, What's there to be arrogant about? Just when Gu Zhantian's aura towered up into the sky, shocking the crowd, Jun Mingchen coldly laughed. He walked towards a heaven chosen a level higher than him. With a howl of rage, he transformed into an ancient battle god and punched out with a single punch. His punch was like an ancient fist, capable of destroying everything, similarly blasting his opponent off the platform. This was like a provocation to Gu Zhantian. He only had a 100,000-meter battle halo, yet he could do the same easily. What right did Gu Zhantian have to be so arrogant? After Qin Wentian was knocked off the platform, this junior apprentice brother of Jun Mingchen actually dared to oppose Gu Zhantian. This made everyone sigh in admiration. This pair of fellow apprentice brothers were truly arrogant, daring to fight against the heavens. At the very least, among the geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture, there wasn't a single one who could suppress their brilliance. However, Qin Wentian didn't go up the Cloud Heaven arena again. All the way until the end of the selection battle, he was quietly cultivating alone. His cultivation base successfully broke through to the 5th level of celestial phenomenon, as the aura he exuded grew even more intense. At the same time, those geniuses who were mentioned by the Idol Cloud Immortal King also revealed their outstanding talent. Other than this, there were also a few others who rose up later on, but none of them were able to surpass the brilliance of Gu Zhantian and Jun Mingchen. Gu Zhantian and Jun Mingchen seemed to be fighting across space, unceasingly plundering the battle chi halos, defeating all the geniuses who obstructed their path. After the 81 days of selection battle ended, Gu Zhantian's battle halo was already incomparably dense. It was over 500,000 meters in diameter, and there was a dense violet gold glow to it. The arena he was on seemed to be enveloped by the violet gold battle halo, incomparably dazzling. Jun Mingchen didn't lose out either. He frenziedly fought against Gu Zhantian, plundering his battle halo. He was invincible and became the second most dazzling character, with a battle halo of 360,000 meters. It was unknown how many geniuses had their battle halos plundered by him. These two were far ahead of the other participants, simply too dazzling. The third person was none other than the descendant of the Idol Cloud Immortal King, Mu Yun. His cultivation base was at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon, the same level as Gu Zhantian. However, it was unknown if Gu Zhantian was intentionally giving face to the Idol Cloud Immortal King, and avoided clashing with Mu Yun. Mu Yun eventually also obtained a battle halo of 200,000 meters, and was extremely powerful. There were some who felt that if Gu Zhantian fought against Mu Yun, he might not be able to win for sure. Even if Gu Zhantian won, it wouldn't be an easy victory. After that, there were geniuses with battle halos ranging from 100,000 to 200,000 meters. There weren't many of these geniuses, only over 10 of them. There were many who possessed battle halos ranging from 10,000 to 100,000 meters. After all, there were a total of 81 battle platforms here. Many experts were silently fighting and plundering battle halos. In addition, there were even some experts who didn't continue to battle after obtaining a 10,000-meter battle halo. At this moment, Qin Wentian also stopped his cultivation. Below him, countless figures stood up and stared at the battle halo. The Idol Cloud Immortal King also stood up from his throne and laughed. For those who feel that they have the qualifications to enter the top 1,000, come up on the Cloud Heaven arena and let everyone see your battle halos. As the sound of his voice faded, the silhouettes of many experts flickered as they stepped onto the 81 battle platforms. In an instant, terrifying battle halos revolved around the area, incomparably resplendent. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he similarly stepped onto a Cloud Heaven arena. Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian were both beside him. In just a short period of time, there were already over 3,000 participants who stepped onto the Cloud Heaven arena. However, there were many who glanced at the others and discovered that their own battle chi halos would be ranked at the bottom. Hence, they naturally chose to step down as well. After a period of adjustment, very swiftly, only over 1,000 participants remained on the 81 battle platforms. Among them, Gu Zhantian, who had a 500,000-meter battle halo, was naturally the most dazzling. His battle halo towered up into the clouds, terrifying to the extreme. Everyone, take a closer look at your own battle halos. Even if it's 1 meter less, it's still considered a little less. Right now, there are 1,070 participants. The remaining 70 participants, please step down. An expert beside the idle cloud immortal king spoke. After he glanced at the people around him, he saw that those who were ranked at the very bottom of the rankings, all of them started to descend as well. After which, a total of 1,000 participants remained on the Cloud Heaven arena. Congratulations to all of you. The idle cloud immortal king smiled. The Dongshengshan Gate is hosting a grand event for the 13 prefectures. My cloud prefecture is one of the 13 prefectures, and the selection round will be held this time around. Everyone, please rest for 7 days and gather here again 7 days later. I will personally bring all of you to the Eastern Prefecture. When we arrive at the Eastern Prefecture, the demon-level geniuses of the 13 prefectures will gather there, and the competition will be even more intense. Experts are as common as the clouds, and I hope that all of you will be able to have an outstanding performance, allowing my cloud prefecture to bask in some of its glory. The idle cloud immortal king is truly too polite. The people below silently mused. There's one more thing I have to make clear. Maybe during these 81 days of selection, there might have been some conflicts between all of you. In fact, there might even be some of you who defeated or killed members of some major powers. But this is a battle. Life and death are unavoidable. No power is allowed to take revenge against them. If not, that would mean becoming an enemy of my idle cloud immortal king, as well as becoming an enemy of the Dongshengshan Gate. You should know the consequences yourself. The idle cloud immortal king's voice turned solemn, causing the countenances of the experts from the major powers to turn heavy. These words of his were clearly a warning to them. Although they were sitting together with the idle cloud immortal king and had extraordinary statuses, belonging to a power at the peak of the cloud prefecture, the idle cloud immortal king wouldn't be polite with them. The selection test of the Dongshengshan Gate was held once every 100 years, and was a major event of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. The Dongshengshan Gate placed great importance on it. These people were all chosen from the Cloud Prefecture and were personally selected by him, the idle Cloud Immortal King. If they were assassinated, it would be akin to smacking his face. All grudges have to be placed in the future. If you guys want to settle it, you can wait. Wait till the end of the selection test. But now you can't do it. Even if you have a huge grudge, you have to put it aside first. If not, where would the prestige of the Dongshengshan Gate be? Next, let's distribute the ranking medallions. The idle cloud immortal king spoke. A moment later, many Immortal Foundation experts rushed to the battle platform and took out their medallions, inscribing words on them before handing them over to the participants. Not long after, Qin Wentian obtained an ancient medallion. On the medallion, the word cloud was engraved, representing the Cloud Prefecture. On this medallion, Qin Wentian's name was inscribed, as well as a number 27. Beside Qin Wentian, Jun Mengchen's medallion was also inscribed with Jun Mengchen's name as well as a number 2. Zi Qingshuan's medallion was inscribed with her name, as well as a number 5. This number represented their ranking in the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture. 7 days later, gather here at this time. Wear this medallion and we will set off together. The idle cloud immortal king spoke, his voice echoing through a radius of a few thousand miles. As the sound of his voice faded, this indicated that the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture has officially ended. It has ended. Everyone stared at the figures in the air. Among them, there were many unforgettable characters who exuded magnificence through the generations. Chapter 8:18. After the selection battle of the Cloud Prefecture concluded, the participants on the 81 battle platforms gradually dispersed. For those who failed to qualify, they could only sigh in their hearts. However, there were still some outstanding geniuses who received invitations from the major powers. After all, there were simply too many geniuses who participated in the selection battle this time around. It was extremely difficult to be able to rank within the top 1,000. In fact, other than some of the most dazzling geniuses, those who managed to rank within the top 1,000 actually didn't have much of a difference in terms of talent. Even after the top 1,000, there were still some who had outstanding talent. Although the selection battle ended, the Cloud Prefecture was still extremely lively. The topics of discussion in the inns and streets were all related to this selection battle. Gu Zhantian is truly powerful, at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon. His strength is as high as the heavens, and he even obtained a 500,000-meter battle halo. This is simply unimaginable, too terrifying. The reason why Gu Zhantian was so crazy was because he was provoked by Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen. The two of them are truly powerful. Qin Wentian was initially undefeatable, and obtained a 180,000-meter battle halo. At that time, Gu Zhantian only had a 200,000-meter battle halo, and didn't have an obvious advantage. However, Qin Wentian gave up his 180,000-meter battle halo to challenge Gu Zhantian, breaking through the limits of his cultivation base. Only then did Gu Zhantian widen the gap between him and the other geniuses. As for Jun Mengchen, he eventually obtained the second rank. The descendant of the Idle Cloud Immortal King, Mu Yun, is also very powerful. He seems to be more low profile, but there has never been anyone who could truly threaten him. Gu Zhantian is at the same level as him, but didn't he challenge Mu Yun as well? Naturally, Gu Zhantian didn't unleash his absolute combat prowess. These dazzling geniuses would always be more outstanding compared to others. After all, this is only the selection battle of the Cloud Prefecture. Their gazes might be on the Eastern Prefecture, where experts are as common as clouds and countless geniuses would appear. Sadly, I won't be able to go there, my cultivation base is too low. By the time I reach the Eastern Prefecture, the selection battle would have already ended. Haha. I can pay some price to teleport there. The price is too great, I can't afford it. On the streets, the crowd laughed and chatted unceasingly. Many people sighed because their cultivation bases were too weak. The immortal realms were simply too vast. For the weak, they could only live in a single angle for their entire lives. In fact, they had no way to properly view the world. Even if there was a teleportation array that could allow them to instantly traverse space, ordinary weaklings wouldn't be able to afford such a price. This was the sorrow of the weak, and also the reason why the atmosphere in the immortal realms was so strong. If one didn't pursue the martial path and become an expert, they wouldn't be able to see the beautiful mountains and rivers of the immortal realms even if they wanted to. Within an inn built on an ancient mountain peak in the Cloud Prefecture, Qin Wentian sat cross-legged. All of a sudden, he opened his eyes as sharpness gleamed within them. He inclined his head and stared ahead, only to see a tyrannical aura gushing forth from him, causing the atmosphere to be filled with a powerful aura. Stepping out, Qin Wentian instantly appeared on a gigantic boulder at the edge of the ancient peak. He saw Jun Mengchen sitting there as his aura surged out in waves. At this moment, Zi Qingxian also appeared. Her beautiful eyes gleamed as she stared at Jun Mengchen, involuntarily feeling waves of pressure. In the Heavenly Talisman realm, Senior Sister Su once said that disciples of the same sect would usually not acknowledge each other outside. It was only because the three of them accepted the trial together that they were allowed to come out with the identity of fellow disciples. Among the three of them, her cultivation base was the highest. However, after the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture, Qin Wentian's cultivation base had already broken through to the 5th level, the same as her. And now Jun Mengchen was also about to break through to the 4th level. All of them were chasing after her. The disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm were simply too outstanding. The first requirement was to have a violet gold astral soul. Being together with fellow disciples from the Heavenly Talisman realm would indeed cause one to feel immense pressure. But it was precisely because of this that one would have such a strong motivation to advance. The more outstanding one was, the more one's potential would be ignited. If not, if you were to be together with a bunch of mediocre people, you might have already surpassed everyone else after reaching a certain level. There are already so many geniuses in the Cloud Prefecture. When we arrive at the Eastern Prefecture, there would be even more experts. This tempering mission won't be easy. Zi Qingxian spoke. Qin Wentian laughed. That's only natural. All the geniuses of the 13 prefectures have gathered here, and only 10,000 plus of them are selected. How can it be simple? Do you have confidence? Zi Qingxuan's beautiful eyes turned over, landing onto the handsome countenance of Qin Wentian. No one would know the ending until the very end. Also, we don't know the rules of the battles after we arrive at the Eastern Prefecture. We can only say that we should do our best. Qin Wentian turned his gaze onto Zi Qingxian as he smiled. Zi Qingxian shifted her gaze away. No emotions could be seen in her eyes. The two of them quietly stood there until a long whistling sound rang out. Jun Mengchen broke through, stepping into the 4th level of celestial phenomenon. How refreshing! Jun Mengchen stood up, his eyes gleaming with sharpness. When he discovered Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian, he retracted his aura and turned around with a smile. Senior brother, senior sister Qingxian. Awesome! Qin Wentian praised. Jun Mengchen had a silly smile on his face. His handsome countenance was extremely handsome. For those who hadn't seen him in battle before, they wouldn't be able to imagine how crazy he was. Senior brother is the awesome one. You've already broken through on the Cloud Heaven arena. Jun Mengchen sincerely spoke. Speaking of which, he should be thanking his senior brother Qin. After that, he fought so crazily on the Cloud Heaven arena because he was inspired by Qin Wentian, as well as contending against Gu Zhantian. Only then did he accumulate a certain amount of experience, and finally, after a few days of relaxation, he unknowingly felt the signs of breaking through. Cultivation was just so mysterious. Sometimes you would break through during battle, sometimes you would break through in peace. Sometimes you would be like Jun Mengchen, suddenly calming down after a frenzied battle, and unknowingly, you would feel that you were about to break through. But no matter what, when stellar martial cultivators broke through, they had to accumulate enough experience. When the conditions were right, success would come naturally. Stabilize your cultivation base. We will be heading to the Eastern Prefecture soon. Qin Wentian didn't say anything more. Jun Mengchen nodded his head as he stared at the horizons. The Eastern Prefecture he had arrived. This was the first tempering exercise for the Heavenly Talisman realm. He had to obtain one of the 3 slots. For 7 consecutive days, the Cloud Prefecture was bustling with activity. When the 7th day arrived, countless silhouettes gathered at the Cloud Heaven arena. At the same time, 1,000 experts arrived as well. Today was the day they would all gather and head to the Eastern Prefecture. 1,000 experts arrived in an imposing manner, occupying a space in the air. Gu Zhantian attracted the most gazes. His figure was tall and slender, and he naturally exuded a supreme sharpness, as though he was born a heaven chosen. Gu Zhantian swept his gaze over everyone, pausing for a moment on Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen. That thin and sharp lips of his exuded a terrifying sharpness, and a provocative battle intent could be seen flickering in his extraordinary eyes. Qin Wentian calmly stared at him, while Jun Mengchen inclined his head as a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. He didn't fear Gu Zhantian at all. Although you have broken through to the 4th level of celestial phenomenon, you are still insufficient in front of me. Your provocation isn't qualified. Gu Zhantian ignored Jun Mengchen, incomparably cold and arrogant. Humph, the rules of the Eastern Prefecture haven't been set yet. Don't say anything too early. Jun Mengchen coldly snorted, only to hear Gu Zhantian laughing maniacally. He turned his gaze away, no longer looking at Jun Mengchen as he spoke in an arrogant tone. If there's a chance to fight, I will make you all stay in the Eastern Prefecture forever. As the sound of his voice faded, a killing intent permeated the air, causing the spectators to sigh in admiration. This Gu Zhantian was truly arrogant, not bothering to mask his killing intent at all, directly threatening Jun Mengchen. At this moment, more and more Immortal Foundation experts arrived. In fact, Qin Wentian and the others also saw the leaders of the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. These immortal kings seemed to be preparing to head to the Eastern Prefecture as well. However, this was also very normal. This was a grand event that occurred once every 100 years in the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, and was initiated by the Dongshangshan Gate. The leaders of the major powers naturally had to be present and pay their respects to the Dongshangshan Gate. After all, the entire 13 prefectures were under the control of the Dongshangshan Gate. This trip to the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, to these geniuses, was a tempering exercise and an opportunity. But to these experts it was a pilgrimage to pay their respects to the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. In the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was the king. He resided in the Eastern Sage Immortal Palace and sat high up on the throne. The Idle Cloud Immortal King also appeared with a group of experts. He glanced at the geniuses, and upon seeing that all of them had a Cloud Prefecture medallion, a smile involuntarily appeared on his face. For this trip, we will directly use the spatial teleportation array in the Cloud Prefecture. This array is able to traverse vast distances and directly lead us to the Eastern Prefecture. Now let's move out together. The idle cloud immortal king spoke as he turned and walked towards the incomparably majestic manor he resided in. Everyone followed after the idle cloud immortal king. The 13 prefectures were all under the control of the Dongshangshan Gate. Within the 13 prefectures, there were powerful spatial teleportation arrays set up personally by the Dongshangshan Gate. However, these arrays couldn't be used casually and outsiders wouldn't have the chance to use them. This trip was an exception. When the experts saw the 12 spatial teleportation arrays shining with golden light, all of them were stunned. These 12 teleportation arrays were connected to the other 12 prefectures. In the center of the teleportation array, there was a gigantic word, Eastern. This teleportation array was connected to the Eastern Prefecture. An incomparably dazzling spatial light swept over the area. The idle cloud immortal king spoke, "Go up in batches according to the numbers on the Cloud Prefecture medallion. For the first batch 901 to 1000 go up." As the sound of his voice faded, 100 people stepped onto the Grand Formation. When the Grand Formation was activated, a burst of intense spatial light that was extremely dazzling to the eyes. Terrifying spatial fluctuations filled the air, and the 100 experts disappeared before their eyes. For the second batch, an instant later, the idle cloud immortal king spoke again. Batches after batches of experts stepped onto the teleportation array before vanishing from sight. When the last batch of people left, the idle cloud immortal king and the others also stepped onto the teleportation array. As the light from the teleportation array shone brightly, their silhouettes vanished from sight. There were many soldiers guarding the teleportation array. Their countenances were solemn, but the area before the teleportation array was completely empty. In a short period of time, the geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture who were chosen all departed from the Cloud Prefecture. They were all on their way to the Eastern Prefecture. Chapter 8:19. The Eastern Prefecture was the most flourishing prefecture in the 13 prefectures. It was also known as the head of the 13 prefectures. The strongest sects in the 13 prefectures were all gathered here, including the governor of the 13 prefectures, the Dongshangshan Gate. The Eastern Immortal City was known as the Emperor City of the 13 prefectures. In the vast 13 prefectures, it was impossible for ordinary people to stay here forever. They could only be passers-by in the Eastern Immortal City, staying in inns and inns. They couldn't have a place of their own. The governance of the Eastern Immortal City was extremely strict, far more so compared to any other cities. There would always be patrolling guards patrolling the boundlessly vast Emperor City. Here, robbing and killing were prohibited. If there was a life-and-death grudge, one had to step onto the battle platform. If not, killing was forbidden. Hence, although the Eastern Immortal City was the largest city in the 13 prefectures, it was also the city with the least amount of killing. In the territory of the Saint Emperor, no one was allowed to commit crimes. At the end of the Emperor City, there was an immortal mountain shrouded in mist. This mountain was known as the Eastern Immortal Mountain, and on it, the supreme character of the 13 prefectures, the Dongshan Heaven Emperor, resided. And it was precisely because of the special status of the Emperor City that the stellar martial cultivators here all had extremely high cultivation bases. One could say that immortal foundation characters could be found everywhere. This was the most prosperous and most powerful city in the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Even for ordinary immortal kings, they wouldn't dare to be too arrogant in this city, because there were many existences here that could even kill ordinary immortal kings. For the ascendants here, no one dared to offend them casually, because these ascendants definitely had a powerful background or they wouldn't be staying in the Emperor City. They didn't have the qualifications and could at most be considered as passers-by. In the Eastern Immortal City, on the vast ancient streets, there were many experts walking about. At a certain location, many experts halted their steps. The experts in the air also halted as they stared ahead. Over there, a resplendent beam of light shot down from the heavens. Within this beam of light, terrifying spatial fluctuations could be felt. After that, a mirror appeared in the air. Many experts could be seen in the mirror. In the next instant, a dazzling golden light flashed as a row of silhouettes appeared in the air. There were actually over 100 of them, and the intense spatial fluctuations were still present. In the blink of an eye, another batch of experts had arrived. The spectators in the Eastern Immortal City didn't feel shocked when they saw this scene. Their gazes swept over, staring at the medallions on the robes of these newcomers. After which, an Immortal Foundation expert sitting in the air laughed. The geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture have all arrived. The other 12 prefectures all have teleportation arrays that lead directly to the Eastern Immortal City. During these few days, the geniuses from the various prefectures all gathered here. That's right, it's a grand event that happens once every 100 years. Even now, I still remember the scene from 100 years ago. Time really flies. An immortal at the side took a sip from his wine gourd and laughed. What a pity. After 100 years, we still don't even have the qualifications to be invited to watch the battle. We can only be ordinary spectators from afar. Haha. The person next to him laughed loudly, seeming to be mocking himself. You want to be invited? At the very least, he had to break through to the Immortal King realm first. Even for ordinary Immortal Kings, they might not even be able to receive an invitation. This time around, those famous Immortal Kings would all be present, right? How old was the undying Immortal King? I wonder if he has aged. A mere 100 years to those characters would pass by in the blink of an eye. However, this time around, there's one person who would definitely be extremely proud of himself. This person is none other than the master of the Scarce Moon Immortal Manor. The Scarce Moon Immortal King. That's only natural. A few years ago, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor suddenly accepted the descendant of the Scarce Moon Immortal King, Kai Tianyi, as his disciple. It's said that after Kai Tianyi joined the sect, his performance was extremely outstanding and even obtained the appreciation of the emperor. Look, the 1,000 geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture have all arrived. That person should be the Idle Cloud Immortal King of the Cloud Prefecture. The two of them stared at the sky. Not only them, the people in this region all turned their gazes over as they saw the 1,000 geniuses descending from the sky. The people from the Cloud Prefecture have arrived. The crowd murmured in a low voice. They heard that before this, there were already geniuses from the other 8 prefectures. The people from the Cloud Prefecture should be from the 9th prefecture that came to the Eastern Immortal City. After Qin Wentian was teleported over, he stabilized himself and surveyed his surroundings. When he saw the cultivation bases of the people here, he couldn't help but to sigh in his heart. The Eastern Immortal City of the Eastern Prefecture was truly an emperor city. In addition, the teleportation distance of the teleportation array was truly terrifying, directly teleporting them from the Cloud Prefecture to the Emperor City of the Eastern Prefecture. Follow me. At this moment, the voice of the Idle Cloud Immortal King drifted over. After that, he led the way in a certain direction. The crowd instantly followed after him. The group of over 1,000 was extremely majestic, and there were many spectators below. Senior brother, the Emperor City of the Eastern Prefecture is truly flourishing. Jun Mengchen glanced at the majestic buildings below as well as the experts passing by. He then sighed. In addition, I can't see anyone fighting over the treasures. The Emperor City has its own rules. No fighting is allowed. Someone beside him explained, causing Jun Mengchen to nod his head. So this is the case. I'm truly ignorant. A few hours later, the crowd arrived at an extremely flourishing area. This area was extremely vast, with inns and inns everywhere. Not only that, there were many young experts here, all of them were at the Celestial Phenomenon realm. When these young experts saw them, they inclined their heads as their smiling eyes gleamed with sharpness. At the same time, there were also many people conversing below. Are these the people from the Cloud Prefecture? I wonder how strong they are. A young man had an incomparably sharp expression on his face, his gaze piercing through the air as an intense battle intent radiated from him. We've arrived. You guys can freely stay in the inns and inns in this area as long as you use the medallion on you. There's no need for any compensation. The Dongshengshen Gate has already arranged everything. You guys can just choose the place you want to stay. The Idle Cloud Immortal King spoke to the crowd. In addition, don't wander too far away during these few days. This area of 1,000 miles should be sufficient for you guys to roam freely. I will summon all of you once I have news. Immortal King, when will the gathering begin? Someone impatiently asked. I'm not sure. After the people from the 13 prefectures arrive, they would all gather in this area. Right now, not everyone should be here yet. Let's wait for the Dongshangshan Gate to summon us. There are already many geniuses from the other prefectures here. You guys can try to understand them first. The Idle Cloud Immortal King replied. After which, he continued, in addition, the Emperor City doesn't allow people to fight randomly. During these few days, don't blame me for not reminding you guys. Alright, you guys can disperse now. After speaking, he waved his hands and brought some of his subordinates away. He didn't even bring his junior Mu Yun along with him. As the lord of a prefecture, the Idle Cloud Immortal King naturally had to bring his subordinates to pay a visit to the experts from the Dongshangshan Gate. He himself was also someone who came from the Dongshangshan Gate, and was a disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. We've finally arrived. Let's go, let's find a place to stay first. The 1,000 experts all flew down. Qin Wentian and his fellow apprentice brothers naturally stayed together. As for the others, there were groups of 3 to 5, and there were also lone travelers. Many gazes turned over to them. Qin Wentian's countenance flickered, but he soon discovered that the gazes of these people weren't on him. Instead, they were on Jun Mengchen, who was beside him. The second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture? Such a young character. Someone mumbled in a low voice, staring at the medallion on Jun Mengchen's chest before surveying Zi Qingxian. Among the 3 of them, there were 2 that were extremely dazzling. Jun Mengchen was ranked 2nd while Zi Qingxian was ranked 5th. Naturally, the one that attracted the most attention was none other than Gu Zhantian, who had the word 1 engraved on his medallion. The people here had no idea what happened during the selection test of the Cloud Prefecture. All they could see was the rankings on the medallion. The number 1 ranker would always be the target of attention. The number 1 ranker of the Cloud Prefecture. I wonder what his talent is like? The spectators below already started discussing. Qin Wentian and his 2 companions had already landed on the ground and were slowly walking about. There were many people observing them, and many of them had medallions on their chests. Evidently, they were all geniuses from other prefectures. There were also many who belonged to the Cloud Prefecture. I don't know much about the geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture. However, the Cloud Prefecture is located in a remote location, and is ranked at the bottom of the 13 prefectures. There's no way they can be compared to the Eastern Prefecture, Qin Prefecture and Li Prefecture. These 3 prefectures are ranked at the forefront of the 13 prefectures. They have the most major powers and naturally have more geniuses as well. Haha, no matter what, our Eastern Prefecture will definitely be the strongest. The geniuses of the Eastern Prefecture are as common as clouds, and other than those demon-level geniuses, there are also some supreme experts nurtured by them. I heard that the beautiful myriad incarnations Immortal King has accepted a disciple named Hua Taishu, and he will be coming soon. The Deep Flame Immortal King is a war general of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. His disciple would also be participating in the banquet this time around. It's simply too lively. I wonder how many geniuses there will be. The spectators were all filled with excitement, filled with anticipation. They were all waiting for the start of the banquet. Qin Wentian and his companions continued on their way, and the spectators on the way were all discussing. At this moment, Qin Wentian's footsteps suddenly halted as he stared at a figure in front of him. Initially, he was taken aback, but soon after, a hint of a smile flickered in his eyes. That figure was exceedingly handsome and had a tall and straight posture. Just by casually standing there, he exuded an extraordinary aura. That person was also taken aback, but he soon laughed. To think that we would be able to meet again in the immortal realms after such a short period of time. Qin Wentian, it has been a long time. Long time no see. Qin Wentian smiled as he stared ahead. The flowing wind isn't romantic, the calm lake splits the moon. Shoots through the 9 heavens. This man was actually one of the 8 era-suppressing geniuses, the most dazzling of them all, Gu Lufeng. How did you manage to exit the royal sacred region? Gu Lufeng walked over as he curiously asked. The royal sacred sect has been destroyed. I followed a senior out here. What about you? Did you join the immortal martial realm? Qin Wentian smiled as he asked. Gu Lufeng had disappeared, and there were rumors saying that he had joined the immortal martial realm. Yes, the immortal martial realm belongs to one of the strongest powers in the immortal realms. They have bases in many particle worlds and choose their elites. Sadly, you didn't come. But for a character like you, You would definitely be able to shine brightly no matter where you go. Gu Lufeng smiled. Back then, Qin Wentian obtained the top ranking of the immortal martial realm, suppressing him. He still remembered that. Chapter 820. Gu Lufeng shifted his gaze onto Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian as he smiled. These two are my junior brother Jun Mengchen and junior sister Zi Qingxian. Qin Wentian smiled and introduced. He then pointed to Gu Lufeng. This is a friend of mine from my particle world, Gu Lufeng. Haha, since you're a friend of senior brother Qin, then you're also a friend of me, Jun Mengchen. Jun Mengchen straightforwardly spoke. Zi Qingxian also nodded her head lightly to Gu Lufeng. When she first met Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen, she had a cold expression on her face. But as they interacted with each other, it was clear that she had already recognized these two as her fellow sect members. Both of them were in no way inferior to her. Zi Qingxian was also somewhat bewildered. She didn't expect that Qin Wentian really came from a particle world. In that case, both he and Gu Lufeng should be extremely dazzling characters from the particle world. Being able to meet with Qin Wentian here in the immortal realms, it truly isn't easy. In addition, I heard that Hua Taishu might come as well. In that case, the top 3 rankers of our immortal martial realm back then are all here. What a miraculous encounter. The immortal realms are so vast. Yet we can meet each other just like that. Gu Liufeng's personality seemed to have changed. Back then, he was a man of few words, incomparably proud and aloof. But now that he met with Qin Wentian again in the immortal realms, he seemed to be more talkative. Hua Taishu. When Qin Wentian heard the name of this old friend, he couldn't help but to sigh in his heart. When he was still young, he was already acquainted with Hua Taishu. Back then, Hua Taishu was the top ranker of the heavenly fate rankings. When he descended to Chu, how awe-inspiring was that? After that, Qin Wentian also became the top ranker of the heavenly fate rankings, killing Hua Taishu's younger brother, and participating in the tempering exercise of the immortal martial realm together with him. Now, they actually met again in the immortal realms. Not only that, they were once again opponents. However, Qin Wentian was truly filled with admiration for Hua Taishu. Hua Taishu entered the tutelage of the myriad incarnations immortal king, and with the guidance of an immortal king, he should be even more extraordinary now. Let's go and find a restaurant to sit down. All the restaurants and inns in this area are controlled by the people of Dongshengshan Gate. They are all the properties of Dongshengshan Gate. As long as you have the order of each province, you can enjoy good food and stay here without paying any price. Gu Lufeng had arrived earlier, hence he knew a little more. Qin Wentian had already seen the ancient medallion on his chest. Qian Gu Lufeng 33. This meant that Gu Lufeng came from the Qian prefecture and was ranked 33rd in his region. Gu Lufeng had also long since seen the medallions on the chests of Qin Wentian and the other two. At this moment he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Qin Wentian must have had an extraordinary encounter. Among the 3 of them, other than Qin Wentian, who was ranked number 27 in the Cloud Prefecture, Zi Qingxian was ranked number 5 and his junior apprentice brother was ranked number 2. The rankings of the 3 were each more outstanding than the other. Sure. Qin Wentian nodded as they found an inn to sit down. Meeting an old friend in a foreign land, the 2 of them naturally chatted more. Back then, the 2 of them didn't have too many interactions. It was just that in the boundlessly vast immortal realms, when 2 geniuses from particle worlds met each other, a sense of closeness naturally bloomed in their hearts. Gu Lufeng chatted for a long time. The immortal martial realm was an immortal king rank power, and had immortal kings as their protectors. They viewed the geniuses of particle worlds with great importance, hence, they set up the immortal martial realm tempering exercise in their particle worlds to select the most outstanding geniuses of their particle worlds. This was also the reason why back then, although the Royal Sacred Sect knew that the immortal martial realm was snatching geniuses from them, they could only silently agree to the existence of the immortal martial realm. Because the immortal martial realm was extremely powerful and had a deep background, it was one of the strongest powers in the Qin prefecture. The majority of the immortal martial realm's attention was placed on the geniuses of particle worlds. Hence, many of their disciples came from particle worlds and started from zero when they came to the immortal realms. The competition was extremely brutal and along the way, It was unknown how many competitors Gu Lufeng had defeated. This was the reason why he had such a good status in the immortal martial realm today. The competition in the immortal realms is simply too intense. Not only do we have to fight against external geniuses, we even have to fight against our own disciples, fight for resources, and fight for the attention of our elders. Because many of them are geniuses from particle worlds, the competition within the immortal martial realm is extremely intense. The weaker ones would be eliminated while the stronger ones would ascend. This place is much more difficult compared to the royal sacred region. Those who fought against you were all extremely outstanding geniuses. Now that I think about it, the 8 era-suppressing geniuses back then really couldn't be considered much. Gu Lufeng drank a mouthful of wine as he sighed. That's only natural. Qin Wentian nodded his head in agreement. The 8 era-suppressing geniuses also had to grow to become even more outstanding than before. If not, they would still be mediocre characters even if they went to the immortal realms. Right now, for every opponent he met, for every genius he met, there were actually countless failures behind them. The appearance of a peerless genius didn't depend on a sudden burst of talent. Rather, they had to persevere and grow unceasingly, breaking through the limits of their cultivation. Only then would they be able to shake off their opponents. Jun Mengchen is the second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture. I'm sure he must be extremely outstanding as well. However, there are simply too many geniuses in the banquet this time around. Among them, the Eastern Prefecture, Qian Prefecture and Li Prefecture are the top 3 prefectures with the most geniuses. The geniuses of these 3 prefectures are also the most famous. In fact, after I came here, I've heard of their names many times. Gu Lufeng slowly spoke. Although there was still a look of confidence on his face, it was no longer as glorious as before. Back then, Gu Lufeng was the top ranker of the 8 era-suppressing geniuses. Among the countless geniuses in the royal sacred region, no one could surpass him. But when he came to the immortal realms, it was extremely difficult for him to compete against those from the various sections. And in the entire 13 prefectures, there were indeed many more outstanding geniuses than him. Such a situation had also smoothed out his edges, causing him to lose the magnificence he exuded in the past. I don't believe that the geniuses of the Eastern Prefecture, Qian Prefecture and Li Prefecture would be the most dazzling. Me, senior brother Qin and senior sister Qingxian would definitely be able to walk to the end. Jun Mengchen wasn't convinced. Their mission was to become the most dazzling few. Although these 3 prefectures were the strongest in the 13 prefectures, the geniuses from these 3 prefectures would naturally be more outstanding compared to them. As the sound of Jun Mengchen's voice faded, several gazes in the surroundings turned to him, silently musing in their hearts that this person truly didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. From the Eastern Prefecture, Gusu Tianqi is unparalleled under the heavens. Although you are the second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture and have extraordinary talent, if you want to compete with Gusu Tianqi, you are simply overestimating your own capabilities. An expert from the Eastern Immortal City calmly spoke. Upon hearing the name he spoke, many in the inn nodded their heads. Someone laughed. Anyone who wants to compete with Gusu Tianqi is simply courting humiliation. Yeah, the Gusu clan has a single descendant for 9 generations. The first one was an immortal emperor expert in Pingjiang, and after several tens of thousands of years ago, an immortal king was born. Now Gusu Tianqi has appeared and his talent far surpasses that of his ancestors. In fact, he even has the chance to become an immortal emperor character. It's said that the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor has already regarded him highly. This time around, his participation is merely a formality. He will definitely be the first ranker, and in the future, Gusu Tianqi will be the personal disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. The atmosphere in the inn immediately became lively when they heard Gusu Tianqi's name. This person didn't even need to appear in person. Just his name alone was enough to cause a commotion. From this, one could very well imagine how outstanding his talent was. In the immortal realms, for a person to be famous, they would definitely have their own extraordinary aspects. It was extremely rare for them to have an undeserved reputation. Hence, this Gusu Tianqi was definitely extraordinary. I've heard this name the most. Gu Lufeng bitterly smiled. A dazzling light flickered in Jun Mengchen's eyes as an intense battle intent surged within. He then spoke, I really want to fight against him. What's his cultivation base? 6th level of celestial phenomenon. But it's said that he has the combat prowess to fight against a 9th level ascendant. Gu Liufeng's voice was heavy. A 6th level ascendant fighting against a 9th level ascendant. This was simply too terrifying. His name resounded throughout the entire Eastern Prefecture. How could he not be strong? Other than Gusu Qianqi, there's also Xia Jufeng of the Eastern Prefecture, Yi Qianshan of the Qian Prefecture and Song Ao of the Li Prefecture. These people are all extremely famous. Xia Jufeng is ranked 2nd in the Eastern Prefecture, while Yi Qianshan and Song Ao are respectively ranked 1st in the Qian Prefecture and Li Prefecture. These prefectures have already arrived in this region. Gu Lufeng continued, other than these people, there's another batch of people whose fame isn't weak at all. They are none other than the personal disciples of those powerful immortal kings. An example would be Hua Taishu. He has already entered the tutelage of the myriad incarnations immortal king. The competition this time around would surely be extremely intense. Qin Wentian nodded his head as he silently memorized the names of these people. Naturally, it was within Qin Wentian's expectations that the competition would be extremely intense. After all, how could the geniuses of the 13 prefectures not be intense? Now we just have to wait for the competition to begin. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered as he spoke in a low voice. Let's go to the inn. After hearing your words, even I feel like consolidating my foundation. Right, let's go to the inn I'm staying at. The environment there isn't bad. Gu Lufeng stood up. Momentarily, the others all left their seats and headed outside. Many of them were geniuses from the various prefectures, and as they stared at each other, their gazes were filled with sharpness. Not too long after, Qin Wentian and the others arrived at the inn Gu Lufeng was staying at. Ancient trees towered up to the skies, and the environment was extremely good. After entering the inn, Gu Lufeng walked up and asked, I need 3 courtyards, are there any available? The receptionist nodded. Yes, I will get someone to bring all of you there. Right? Gu Lufeng nodded his head. After that, the receptionist led them to their residences. The interior of the inn was decorated in an ancient style, and the environment was extremely elegant. The inn here was extremely large. Stellar martial cultivators needed to cultivate, hence they needed peace and quiet. Hence, the courtyards for each of them were all independent and extremely large. This inn is also a property of the Dongshengshan Gate. It's extremely quiet, no one would dare to disturb us. Gu Lufeng walked on a small bridge. The group of them chatted as they walked. At this moment, the receptionist pointed to the front and stated, there are 3 courtyards up ahead. Everyone's luck isn't bad. These are the last 3 remaining courtyards. This place isn't bad. Zi Qingxian nodded. At this moment, a silhouette sped over with great speed, seemingly in a hurry. His silhouette blocked the path of Qin Wentian and the others as he spoke. Everyone, my apologies. Earlier we saw wrongly. These 3 courtyards already have guests. Please find another place to stay. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. It was impossible for stellar martial cultivators to make such a mistake. Evidently, the words of the receptionist didn't hold much weight. I don't think there's anyone there. Gu Lufeng had an unhappy expression on his face. I'm really sorry, I was too careless. Actually, there's already someone who has reserved it. I forgot. That receptionist spoke apologetically. At this moment, a group of people appeared in the air. One of the receptionists led the way. Everyone, it's just up ahead. Qin Wentian and the others inclined their heads, and when they saw this scene, their countenances all turned cold. Evidently, the receptionist wanted them to clear out a place for these people. There was no mistake. Chapter 821. Gu Liufeng's countenance was filled with unhappiness. He brought Qin Wentian here only to encounter such a situation. These friends of mine are all here to participate in the grand event of the Dongshengshan Gate. Isn't it a little inappropriate for the inn to do this? Gu Lufeng stared at the manager of the inn as he spoke. Everyone, this is the arrangement of the sage child. I hope that you all can find another place to stay. At this moment, one of the people in the group spoke. Upon hearing his words, the manager of the inn smiled apologetically as he turned to Qin Wentian and the others. Everyone, please give the sage child some face. Gu Lufeng furrowed his brows. He naturally understood the meaning of the sage child of the Dongshangshan Gate. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was known as the Eastern Sage Emperor, and the word sage in his name meant that he was transcendent. Within the Dongshangshan Gate, there was also the term sage child, referring to the disciples of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. They all had extraordinary statuses, and were the focus of nurturing by the Dongshangshan Gate. Their statuses in the Dongshangshan Gate were extremely high, and as long as there was an opportunity, there was a high possibility that they could become a personal disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Right now there were many sage child characters in the Dongshangshan Gate, and all of them were demon-level geniuses of various cultivation levels. All of them could be considered disciples of the Eastern Sage Emperor, and these few people before them were brought here under the request of the sage child. This inn was one of the businesses of the Dongshangshan Gate, so they naturally had to obey. Sage child, is this how you treat guests from the 13 prefectures? Gu Lufeng unhappily spoke. Those from the 13 prefectures were all considered guests of the Dongshangshan Gate. Sir, why must you be so serious? After all, this is an order from the sage child. You all just need to give him some face and change your lodgings. In the future, if there's an opportunity, I can introduce you all to the sage child. Why must you be so stubborn? That person spoke in an impolite tone. What a joke. Why should we introduce him? Jun Mengchen coldly laughed. That person stared at the medallion hanging on Jun Mengchen's chest, but his countenance was as calm as ever. Ranked second in the Cloud Prefecture. No wonder your tone is so arrogant. It's just that this place is the Emperor City, not the Cloud Prefecture. Do you know who the sage child wants me to arrange for this person? These words were already extremely impolite. Qin Wentian remained silent from the start to the end. His gaze was locked onto the person that the other party was pointing at. Qin Wentian actually recognized this man. He had met him once before in the past. When the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was recruiting disciples in his particle world, this man had also appeared in the royal sacred region. Also, his talent was outstanding and he managed to persist until the very end. His name was Black Peak. Although he didn't manage to enter the tutelage of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, the Immortal King General under the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, the Deep Flame Immortal King, accepted him as a personal disciple. Black Peak naturally recognized Qin Wentian. Back then, Qin Wentian was a head above everyone, and was almost accepted as a personal disciple by the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Sadly, this fellow didn't know how to appreciate favors and actually rejected the Eastern Sage Emperor's kindness. His master, the Deep Flame Immortal King, arranged for him to be a free man once every 1,000 years. In the end, he was abandoned by the Eastern Sage Emperor. Right now, this man also came to the immortal realms from a particle world. However, the medallion on his chest stated that he was ranked 27. This caused him to laugh coldly in his heart. As expected, the geniuses of particle worlds, no matter how dazzling they were back then, it was only for a short period of time. He missed that opportunity and became mediocre. In a place like the Cloud Prefecture, he was only ranked 27. This is the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, a war general under the Eastern Sage Emperor, Black Peak. That person spoke in arrogance, his words causing Jun Mengchen's handsome face to gleam with sharpness. His back straightened even more. Since others dared to be arrogant in front of him, he would naturally be even more arrogant. In addition, these people clearly wanted to occupy their territory, yet they actually dared to call him arrogant instead? How preposterous! I don't care who you guys are. Since we arrived here first, we will follow the rules. If you guys want to snatch it, just fight. I heard that the Emperor City doesn't allow people to fight randomly. I wonder if your Dongshangshan Gate is bound by this rule. Jun Mengchen inclined his head as he spoke. His aura gushed forth. He was like a person who feared nothing in the heavens or earth. Although he looked extremely handsome in his particle world, he was the king, the one and only king. Black Peak's gaze shifted away from Qin Wentian, as though he didn't know him. It was like the current Qin Wentian was no longer worthy of his attention. He glanced at Jun Mengchen before turning his gaze back to the people before him. A sinister voice rang out. Do you guys really want to stay in this inn? Just when Jun Mengchen wanted to speak, he saw Qin Wentian nodding. Yes. The countenances of everyone flickered as they stared at Qin Wentian only to see him calmly speaking. This banquet organized by the Dongshangshan Gate, we came all the way from the Cloud Prefecture. But now, the people of the Dongshangshan Gate actually want to bully us? How ridiculous! When have I ever bullied you guys? The expression of the person leading the way turned cold, yet he only saw Black Peak waving his hands as he stared at Qin Wentian. Back then, because of your personality, you missed the opportunity to soar up into the heavens. After becoming mediocre, you actually still don't know when to advance or retreat. You truly have character. Although you are all guests here, you have to remember that this place is the Emperor City. In the future, if you meet us in battle, remember to be more careful. After speaking, Black Peak directly turned and flicked his sleeves. Let's change locations. Why must you lower your status? You don't know how to appreciate favors. The person leading the way coldly glanced at Qin Wentian and the others before leaving together with Black Peak. Too arrogant. Jun Mengchen's battle intent gushed forth from him. He stared at the silhouettes of those people as he spoke. It's best if I don't meet them in battle. The person in charge of the inn felt extremely awkward. He cast a deep glance at the people before him before saying, "Everyone, please proceed on your own. I will bid my farewell first." After speaking, he directly departed. Jun Mengchen cursed, "Bastard." Gu Lufeng was somewhat astonished that Qin Wentian actually seemed to be acquainted with Black Peak. The Deep Flame Immortal King has a ruthless personality and has conquered countless regions. His disciple Black Peak is similar to him. Both are extremely arrogant, but their combat prowess is also extremely powerful. Gu Lufeng reminded. The few of them then walked towards the courtyard. Their originally good mood was now completely ruined as they returned to their respective residences to rest. Time flowed by, the atmosphere in this area grew more and more lively. The other prefectures also arrived, and any random passerby on the streets could be considered extraordinary geniuses. Many people in the Emperor City also came to this area to observe the commotion, wanting to know when the grand event would start. Today, a piece of shocking news circulated around this area. The transcendent saint child of the Dongshangshan Gate, Yi Zixuan, invited the top 3 rankers of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures to host a banquet at the largest inn in this area, the Eastern Immortal Inn. As this news circulated out, countless experts instantly rushed to the Eastern Immortal Inn. What sort of character was Yi Zixuan? He was a saint child, and not long ago, it was rumored that he had stepped into the Immortal Foundation realm. Not only that, he had only cultivated for a total of 102 years and his talent was extremely outstanding. He had already reached the Immortal Foundation realm, which many experts had never been able to reach in their entire lives. And for those he invited, it was said that the geniuses of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, including those from the Dongshangshan Gate, as well as the personal disciples of immortal kings, would all be participating in this banquet. This caused a huge commotion. The Eastern Immortal Inn was 9 levels tall. In its surroundings, countless experts gathered, including geniuses from all over the 13 prefectures. They also wanted to take a look at the most famous characters this time around. After all, in the near future, there was a high possibility that they would be able to contend against these geniuses. He's here, the saint child Yi Zixuan has arrived. At this moment, someone inclined his head and stared at the sky only to see the saint child Yi Zixuan arriving in a carriage, directly arriving at the peak of the Eastern Immortal Inn. There are geniuses from the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures here as well. Seems like they are all in the vicinity, preparing to attend the banquet. At this moment, more and more experts soared up into the air, exuding an extraordinary aura. Number 1 from the Mo Prefecture, Number 3 from the Li Prefecture, Number 2 from the Qian Prefecture. Numerous geniuses descended from the sky, causing the eyes of the crowd to gleam with sharpness. Haha, it's my honor that everyone can attend this banquet. Yi Zixuan laughed heartily. The geniuses all clasped their hands and politely replied, "Saint Child is too polite." Yi Zixuan could be considered the senior of all of them. Although he was 102 years old, he still looked young and exuded a heroic aura. Brother Black Peak has arrived as well. At this moment, Yi Zixuan inclined his head and stared at a black-robed figure. Momentarily, the countenances of the crowd stiffened as they stared at that person. It was none other than the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, Black Peak. Bzz. At this moment a powerful aura gushed forth. A lanky figure stepped out, exuding an unexcelled aura. On the medallion on his chest, there was the word Cloud engraved on it. This man was the top ranker of the Cloud Prefecture. In the airspace above the Eastern Immortal Inn, more and more experts gathered. When a tyrannical figure descended, another commotion broke out. The top ranker of the Li Prefecture, Song Ao, arrived. His figure was tyrannical as his red hair fluttered in the wind. Yi Qianqian has arrived as well. The top ranker of the Qin Prefecture arrived, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. Yi Qianqian and Song Ao were both geniuses who had the highest hopes of becoming the top 3 rankers. Will Gusu Tianqi come? At this moment the crowd mused silently. They wondered if that supreme character would attend the banquet. At the top of the inn, the banquet was already prepared. Yi Zixuan and the others started chatting. Gusu Tianqi didn't appear. It seemed like he was the only one who hadn't arrived yet. Wait, there's still one more person. The second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture hasn't appeared yet. Someone suddenly discovered that there were only 2 people in the Cloud Prefecture, Gu Zhantian and Mu Yun. Over there, the second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture is actually below. A few silhouettes suddenly appeared below the inn. One of them had a medallion inscribed on his chest. His name was Jun Mingchen, second ranker. Sage Child, the second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Jun Mingchen, has arrived. A subordinate of Yi Zixuan spoke. I didn't invite him. At this moment, Yi Zixuan's voice rang out. Instantly, countless gazes turned to Jun Mingchen as strange expressions appeared on their faces. The second ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Jun Mingchen, didn't receive an invitation from Yi Zixuan? Not only that, Yi Zixuan actually said this in front of everyone. This was simply smacking his face, not giving any face to Jun Mingchen at all. Jun Mingchen inclined his head and stared at the top of the Eastern Immortal Inn. He had also heard that Yi Zixuan invited everyone to the banquet, but it was true that no one invited him. However, he still came. It wasn't because of this banquet, but rather he wanted to see his opponents. If he wanted to complete the Heavenly Talisman Realm's tempering exercise, he had to trample all of these people under his feet. Chapter 822. Qin Wentian inclined his head as his countenance turned cold. Yi Zixuan had invited all the geniuses to the banquet, yet he omitted Jun Mingchen. In addition to the presence of Black Peak, Qin Wentian understood that the saint child who arranged for Black Peak to stay in there and back then was none other than Yi Zixuan. Although the two of them had never met before, a grudge was already formed between them. However, it didn't matter if Yi Zixuan didn't invite Jun Mingchen. But now that Yi Zixuan intentionally said this in front of everyone, it was obvious that he had gone overboard, directly slapping the face of Jun Mingchen. And as expected, as the sound of his voice faded, the crowd below erupted into a commotion. Why didn't the saint child invite Jun Mingchen? Sadly, I'm not familiar with the Cloud Prefecture, and have no idea how high Jun Mingchen's talent is. Could it be because Yi Zixuan knows that Jun Mingchen has an undeserved reputation? Everyone was invited except for Jun Mingchen of the Cloud Prefecture. He must have obtained the second position by luck, and didn't live up to his name. If not, why would the third ranker Mu Yun be invited as well, sitting together with the first ranker Gu Zhantian? The crowd speculated. They didn't know the situation in the Cloud Prefecture, and naturally felt that there was no need for Yi Zixuan to target Jun Mingchen. There was a high possibility that this young Jun Mingchen wasn't strong enough. After all, the Cloud Prefecture was considered one of the weaker prefectures among the 13 prefectures. It was very normal for there to be exceptions. Maybe this Jun Mingchen was lucky and obtained the second position. Although Yi Zixuan's words caused Jun Mingchen to feel embarrassed, he didn't even know how to defend himself. After all, Yi Zixuan only said that he wasn't invited. What else could he say? Could it be that Yi Zixuan was bragging about how powerful he was? Qin Wentian glanced at Jun Mingchen only to see this junior apprentice brother of his still inclined his head with an intense stubbornness flickering in his eyes. Yet, he wasn't angered by Yi Zixuan's words. Qin Wentian couldn't help but to praise Jun Mingchen in his heart. His junior apprentice brother didn't care about the mockery of others. From this, one could see how resolute his will was. However, this Yi Zixuan had slapped him in the face like this. Not only did he not retaliate, he also felt displeased. Hence, Qin Wenqian's voice rang out. I heard that the top ranker of the Eastern Prefecture is none other than Gusu Qianqi of the Eastern Prefecture. I came here today to meet him, but I didn't manage to see him. Could it be that Gusu Qianqi wasn't invited to this banquet? Qin Wenqian's voice wasn't loud, but it was as though his voice had drowned out all the other noises, causing the entire space to fall silent. Haha, are you joking? What sort of character is Gusu Qianqi? How can he not be invited? This guy. Everyone laughed and shook their heads. Was Qin Wenqian joking on purpose? Do you think Gusu Qianqi is the same as you? In the air, in the Eastern Immortal Inn, Yi Zixuan's subordinate stared at Qin Wenqian as he mocked. In that case, it's not that Gusu Qianqi didn't come without an invitation, but rather he intentionally didn't come? Qin Wenqian's countenance changed as his tone grew colder. This caused the mocking laughter in the surroundings to abruptly vanish as everyone stared at Qin Wenqian. What was the meaning behind his words? And indeed, they only saw Qin Wenqian sweeping his gaze over them. That originally calm eyes of his suddenly gleamed with a dazzling light as he spoke with cold arrogance. That's right, how can Gusu Qianqi be invited by just anyone? A sage child is merely a sage child after all. After speaking, Qin Wenqian flicked his sleeves and stared at Jun Mingchen and the rest. Junior brother Jun, you've already seen your future opponents. It's time for you to leave. What a pity I didn't manage to witness Gusu Qianqi's glory. Jun Mingchen sighed. After which, the group of them actually turned and departed, ignoring the gathering of geniuses in the air. Numerous gazes shot over from above, all of them were extremely sharp. One of them coldly stated, "Stop there." That voice reverberated through the air, extremely resounding. However, Qin Wenqian and the other three didn't seem to hear it and continued on their way. That expert stepped out, directly chasing after Qin Wenqian and the rest, blocking their path. This person was none other than a subordinate of sage child Yi Zixuan, the one who said that Jun Mingchen had arrived. From the looks of it now, it seemed that he had done this intentionally. In addition, this person's cultivation base was extremely strong, at the 8th level of celestial phenomenon. I told you guys to stop. That person floated in the air as he spoke with cold arrogance. Is this your order or the order of others? Qin Wenqian's eyes gleamed with coldness as he stared at that person. His deep eyes gleamed with an extremely cold light. That person froze for a moment before replying with cold arrogance. Naturally, it's my order. Who the hell do you think you are? Telling us to stop? Qin Wenqian stepped out. If you are someone from the Dongshengshan Gate, you should know the rules. Scram. How dare you? That person coldly spoke as his aura gushed forth. This person's words were extremely disrespectful to the sage child. As an Immortal Foundation expert, the sage child didn't have the authority to act personally. However, as a subordinate, he couldn't ignore this. Boom! Qin Wenqian stepped out as his aura gushed forth violently. His body directly floated up from the ground as he spoke with cold arrogance. According to the rules of the Emperor City, if one is provoked for no reason, the one who was provoked can issue a challenge under the witness of the patrolling guards of the Emperor City. Now, would the patrolling guards be my witnesses? Not far away, there was a group of patrolling guards. They were also paying attention to the situation here, and when they heard Qin Wenqian's words, they all rushed over. They stared at the cultivation base of the person blocking them and felt bewildered. After which, the person in the lead nodded. Yes, but once you issue a challenge, the other party has the right to kill you. Fine, under the witness of the patrolling guards, I hereby issue a challenge to you. Qin Wenqian stared at his opponent, his words causing that person to start laughing maniacally. You are courting death? As the sound of his voice faded, the aura of an 8th level ascendant gushed forth. However, Qin Wenqian's silhouette flickered as a terrifying long spear suddenly appeared in his hands. An incomparably fearsome aura gushed forth as the long spear stabbed out, instantly expanding in size as immortal light erupted forth. That person was still laughing maniacally when his countenance drastically changed as he exclaimed in a trembling voice, "Immortal-ranked weapon." He explosively retreated, only to see the long spear had already expanded to a length of over 100 meters. With a piercing sound, he was directly nailed to the ground in the air. With a thunderous boom, that person's body exploded as his soul dissipated. The hearts of the crowd pounded violently. This fellow was so violent. Directly issuing a challenge and killing him? Too domineering. With a flash of light, Qin Wentian directly kept the immortal-ranked weapon as he landed on the ground. It was like nothing had happened before. The four of them continued on their way, causing the patrolling guards to be stunned as they stood there. Courting your own humiliation. Qin Wentian's voice rang out. It was unknown if he was referring to the person who was killed or the others. In the Eastern Immortal Inn, the sage child Yi Zixuan's countenance was incomparably sharp. His gaze penetrated through space and landed on Qin Wentian. However, his subordinate said that he couldn't stand the sight of Qin Wentian and this had nothing to do with him, Yi Zixuan. Qin Wentian killed his subordinate openly, and there were even patrolling guards as witnesses. As an Immortal Foundation character, if you wanted to deal with Qin Wentian, what would that mean? It would only be more embarrassing. In addition, Qin Wentian was someone from the Cloud Prefecture, who came here to participate in the grand banquet. It was impossible for him to do anything to Qin Wentian. After all, he was the sage child of the Dongshangshan Gate. If he killed Qin Wentian, what prestige would the Dongshangshan Gate have? They would be mocked by others and the reputation of the Dongshangshan Gate must not be tarnished. Even if he wanted to kill Qin Wentian, he had to do it openly. Gu Zhantian stared at the back view of Qin Wentian. He had fought against Qin Wentian before and naturally knew how crazy this person could be. When he was quiet he might seem harmless, but once he erupted, the amount of energy he could unleash would be terrifying. The other geniuses all glanced at Qin Wentian before shifting their gazes onto Yi Zixuan, silently musing at how arrogant this young man was. However, they also didn't understand why Yi Zixuan would target Qin Wentian's friend, Jun Mingchen. That sentence he spoke earlier was equivalent to an insult. However, they didn't expect that a character ranked number 27 in the Cloud Prefecture would actually be able to reverse the situation, causing the sage child Yi Zixuan to be in a passive position. Everyone, please take your seats. Yi Zixuan swiftly adjusted his state of mind as he spoke. The crowd no longer talked about what happened earlier. To them, this was merely an interlude. Their purpose in coming here was firstly to give Yi Zixuan face, and secondly, they wanted to observe their opponents. The people invited by Yi Zixuan would be the strongest batch of opponents they would have to face in the future. Many of those who obstructed their path of advancement would also be among them. The crowd soon started chatting and laughing, as though what happened earlier was nothing more than a small interlude. As for the crowd in the surroundings, they gradually forgot about Qin Wentian and his companions. After all, in their eyes, these people were the truly dazzling existences. To Qin Wentian and his companions, this matter was also nothing more than an interlude. Qin Wentian, Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian. The three of them still remembered their purpose in coming here. They wanted to become the strongest three and obtain the top 3 rewards, rejecting the Eastern Sage Heavenly Talisman Realm, and passing the test of the Heavenly Talisman Realm. This was their unchanging goal. As for those supreme geniuses of the 13 prefectures, they had to trample over them one by one. In the quiet courtyard of the inn, the few of them were quietly cultivating, consolidating their foundations and strengthening themselves. In this area, the 13,000 geniuses of the 13 prefectures, as well as many Immortal Foundation experts, as well as people from the Emperor's city, were all gathered here. Although it was early in the morning and there were many people walking on the ancient pathway, the atmosphere was still extremely quiet. Geniuses of the Eastern Prefecture gather. At this moment a thunderous voice rang out, resounding through a radius of 1,000,000 miles, akin to a thunderclap. Geniuses of the Qin Prefecture, gather. Geniuses of the Li Prefecture, gather. Geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture, gather. Geniuses of the Mo Prefecture, gather. 13 voices rang out consecutively, shaking the heavens and earth. Not only in this area but also in the entire Eastern Prefecture. The Eastern Sage 13 prefectures issued a summons at the same time. The meaning of this was clear even without words. This was a summons from the Dongshangshan Gate. The 13,000 geniuses from the 13 prefectures were finally going to clash. In the void, silhouettes broke through the air one after another, flashing towards the same direction like bolts of lightning. Countless people stood on the ground and raised their heads to look at the experts flashing in the void. Their eyes were filled with a trace of solemnity. Was it finally going to begin? Chapter 823. In the 13 prefectures, the leaders of the geniuses were all gathered together, standing in 13 different directions. As the silhouettes soared through the air, the geniuses of the various prefectures were all divided into groups of 1,000. The 13 prefectures were respectively Eastern Prefecture, Qian Prefecture, Li Prefecture, Cloud Prefecture, Qian Prefecture, Jing Prefecture, Thunder Prefecture, Yu Prefecture, Rock Prefecture, Blazing Sun Prefecture, Supreme Moon Prefecture, Western Desert Prefecture and Underworld Prefecture. The first 9 prefectures were located in the central region, while the last 4 were located in the 4 directions. Among them, the Eastern Prefecture, Qian Prefecture and Li Prefecture were the strongest of the 13 prefectures and were located in the central region of the 13 prefectures. As for the second most powerful ones, they weren't the other 6 prefectures but the 4 prefectures at the periphery. The Blazing Sun Prefecture, Supreme Moon Prefecture, Western Desert Prefecture and Underworld Prefecture. In fact, there was a saying that the strength of these 4 prefectures might not be weaker compared to the 3 most famous prefectures in the central region. The Eastern Prefecture, Qian Prefecture and Li Prefecture were the central regions where the geniuses from all over the world gathered. As for the 4 directions, they were located at the periphery, bordering other immortal empires or supreme powers. The external environment was extremely harsh and they had to be strong to survive. Not only that, the Dongshengshan Gate also had a powerful army stationed there. Hence, these 4 prefectures were extremely terrifying. The Blazing Sun Prefecture and Supreme Moon Prefecture were located opposite each other, while the Western Desert Prefecture and Underworld Prefecture were located opposite each other. The Red Sun region was scorching hot all year round, and the flames of the sun burned vigorously. The Great Moon region was the exact opposite. The Western Desert region was also extremely hot, and its territory was extremely vast. There were many desert cities, and many powerful races had appeared there. The people there also cultivated in all sorts of strange ways. The people of the Underworld region were known as the Hell region. These 4 prefectures each had their own unique characteristics and were extremely powerful. Only the 6 prefectures at the periphery, Jing Prefecture, Qian Prefecture, Cloud Prefecture, Thunder Prefecture, Yu Prefecture and Rock Prefecture weren't as unique and their average strength was also relatively weaker. As for the geniuses of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, in terms of fame, the Eastern Prefecture was naturally the most famous. Other than them were the Qian and Li prefectures. After all, the banquet this time around was held in the Eastern Prefecture, and the Qian and Li prefectures were the 3 prefectures closest to the Eastern Prefecture. And it was precisely because of this reason that Gusu Qianqi, Xiaojufeng, Yi Qianchen and Song Ao's fame was the greatest, and they were highly regarded by the people of the Eastern Prefecture. But in truth, back then when Yi Zixuan hosted the banquet, he invited geniuses from all 13 prefectures. The top 3 geniuses from the 4 prefectures of the 4 great prefectures were all similarly unfathomable, giving off an extremely dangerous feeling. Even if the geniuses from the 6 prefectures could be ranked in the top 3, how bad would they be? As over 10,000 geniuses gathered here, a stifling pressure permeated this entire area. The aura they exuded was simply too strong. Although they were merely at the celestial phenomenon realm, with over 10,000 geniuses standing together, they naturally formed a natural pressure field that could crush everything. Qin Wentian and his 2 companions arrived, heading straight for the Idle Cloud Immortal King's camp. He Junmengchen and Zi Qingxian surveyed the experts here as their countenances turned heavy and solemn. These were the opponents they would be contending against this time around. There were many extraordinary geniuses among them. Just a single glance was enough to cause a faint pressure to radiate from them. Geniuses were as common as the clouds. They understood that it didn't mean that only the top 3 rankers were demon-level characters. The other geniuses weren't necessarily weaker compared to the top 3. For example, Qin Wentian, he was only ranked 27th. But could it be that Qin Wentian's talent was only ranked 27th in the Cloud Prefecture? In that case, there was no need for him to participate in the grand banquet this time around. If he was ranked 27th in the Cloud Prefecture, how could he contend for the top 3 positions in the 13 prefectures? They've arrived. The geniuses of the 13 prefectures have all arrived. The crowd below all inclined their heads and stared up in the air, feeling shock in their hearts. What a powerful aura! There were so many supreme characters here. Gusu Tianqi has also arrived, standing in the direction of the Eastern Prefecture. Although he isn't standing at the forefront and seems to be very low profile, I could still see him with a single glance. Someone pointed to a certain direction. Over there was a young man who exuded no aura at all. Just by casually standing there, it was as though he was the most illustrious existence in the crowd. Nobody could obstruct the radiance radiating from him. That aura of an innate immortal king seemed to be formed naturally, as though he was destined to be an innate immortal king. There was a formless halo around him. There were some people who were already destined from the moment they were born. They would definitely become a character whose name would shake the world. Gusu Tianqi, the sole descendant of 9 generations, was precisely such a character. Those around him didn't dare to get too close to him, as their radiance was blocked by him. It was as though there was a unique aura radiating from Gusu Tianqi, causing others to look up to him in admiration. Qin Wentian also noticed Gusu Tianqi, who was standing among the crowd of the Eastern Prefecture. The contours of his face could be clearly seen, and he looked very young. His handsome countenance was as calm as still water, with no ripples at all. His forehead was plump, and the space between his brows were as sharp as a blade. That pair of deep black eyes gleamed with a terrifying light, and even when they weren't focused, they still shone with a terrifying light. Other than Gusu Tianqi, there was another person among the crowd of the Eastern Prefecture that attracted Qin Wentian's attention. This person was tall and skinny, exuding an extraordinary aura. His domineering eyes stared at Gusu Tianqi, as though he wanted to clash head-on with him. This person was none other than the second ranker of the Eastern Prefecture, Xia Jufeng. So many demon-level geniuses. Beside him, Jun Mingqian mumbled. Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian both nodded their heads. Other than these two from the Eastern Prefecture, there were also many other outstanding characters. That person is so strange. He's the number 1 ranker of the Blazing Sun Prefecture. His body seems to be surrounded by numerous blazing suns, radiating a fearsome halo of the sun. Just a single glance at him made me feel a wave of heat, as though I was about to be ignited. If I fought against him, wouldn't that be even more terrifying? Below, the crowd sighed in admiration as they stared in the direction of the Blazing Sun Prefecture. Not only for the number 1 ranker, there were also many experts from the Blazing Sun Prefecture who had a halo of their own. The people from the Supreme Moon Prefecture are the exact opposite. They give off an extremely cold and gloomy feeling. Look at the people from the Underworld Prefecture. Those people are so ugly and have strange shapes. It's too terrifying. It's like they really walked out from the Netherworld. The Underworld Prefecture and Western Desert Prefecture also have gigantic giants. What race are they? There are also monks. It's extremely rare to see monk cultivators. However, there are quite a few in the Western Desert Prefecture. The Western Desert Prefecture is located in a desolate land with an extremely vile environment. There are even chaotic flows of energy from the heavens, easily destroying a city. Even if it's built up, it could be destroyed in a single night. Hence, the number of cities in the Western Desert Prefecture is the lowest. Many places are deserts and the races are the most chaotic. That's true. The 4 prefectures are all very powerful. Their territories are connected to many particle worlds. Didn't the Deep Flame Immortal King frequently set up camp in the Underworld Prefecture? There were all sorts of voices below. Qin Wentian's perception was extremely powerful, and he would occasionally be able to hear the voices. He couldn't help but to sigh in admiration at how vast and mysterious the immortal realms were. Even in the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, there were so many things he didn't know about. After entering the immortal realms, he directly entered the Cloud Prefecture. The Cloud Prefecture in the central region seemed to be one of the more peaceful prefectures. In the entire 13 prefectures, there were many unimaginable races in strange lands that he had yet to truly come into contact with. Move out. At this moment, the governor of the Eastern Prefecture commanded. Instantly, the 1,000 geniuses of the Eastern Prefecture all moved out. Move out. Move out. The governors of the 13 prefectures all commanded. All the geniuses in this space moved out, heading in the direction of the Dongshangshan Gate. Over 10,000 experts soared through the air. They were able to overlook this ancient emperor city. They couldn't see the end of this incomparably powerful emperor city, but they could see a statue in the distance that was so tall that it reached the heavens. This statue truly towered up into the heavens. Even if one stood extremely far away, they would still be able to see its existence. This was the tallest and most majestic statue in the entire Eastern Immortal City, or even the entire Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. The other statues weren't allowed to surpass the size of this statue because the one carved in it was the hegemon of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, the Eastern Sage Heaven Emperor. Do you see that statue? How majestic! That must be His Majesty. This statue is located at the highest point of the Dongshengshan Gate. It's a symbol of unparalleled status. Someone spoke. Anyone who sees this statue should feel respect and reverence. This is His Majesty, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. If you are disrespectful or profane the statue of His Majesty would be able to sense it. Is it really so mystical? Someone questioned. That's an immortal emperor. That level of cultivation isn't something we can imagine. A single thought of theirs can connect the heavens and earth, creating laws with a wave of their hands. How terrifying is that? We basically have no way to touch it. In any case, when you see the statue of His Majesty, you must be respectful. If not, even if you soar up to the heavens one day, if His Majesty knows that you were disrespectful to Him before, although His Majesty wouldn't do anything to you given His status, He definitely wouldn't attach any importance to you. The group of people chatted as they walked. Finally, they got closer and closer to the towering statue. When they were 1,000 miles away from it, they had already arrived outside the Dongshengshan Gate. Numerous immortal arched gates, immortal stairways and the statues of the 4 paragons of the Dongshengshan Gate could be seen. Even the governors of the 13 prefectures all landed on the ground and bowed to the statues of the 4 paragons. The experts of the various prefectures also landed on the ground, after which, many imitated them and bowed to the 4 paragons. The 4 paragons of the Dongshengshan Gate were the founders of the Dongshengshan Gate. They were the 4 paragons who followed the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor when he conquered the world. They were so powerful that it was inconceivable, and now they no longer appeared in public. All of them were pursuing the immortal emperor realm, and their strength had already reached an extreme, surpassing countless immortal kings. There were also rumors that one of the 4 paragons had already stepped into the immortal emperor realm. The 4 paragons were the founders of the Dongshengshan Gate. They were the guardians of the Dongshengshan Gate. Who would dare to be disrespectful? In the 13 prefectures, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was a god while the 4 paragons were war generals. Even for supremely powerful existences like the Deep Flame Immortal King, there was still a huge disparity between them and the 4 paragons. After paying their respects to the 4 paragons, the 13 immortal kings led the geniuses of the various prefectures up the stairway. After which, a thunderous bell chime rang out. Up ahead, the experts of the Dongshengshan Gate had smiles on their faces as they welcomed the geniuses of the 13 prefectures. Chapter 824. We've arrived. The gazes of the crowd stared ahead. On the stairway, the experts all had immortal halos around them, exuding a resplendent aura. However, the crowd discovered that behind these experts, there was still an arched gate. It was unknown how vast the Dongshengshan Gate was. It was comparable to a city, and they had just arrived at the entrance. I will leave them to all of you. The leader of the Eastern Prefecture spoke. After which, the immortal kings of the 13 prefectures respectively stepped forward. The experts on the stairway opened up a path for them as they respectfully spoke. Immortal kings, this way please. The seniors of our sect have been waiting for us for a long time. Just leave these geniuses to us. The group of immortal kings nodded as they stepped into the interior of the Dongshengshan Gate, leaving the geniuses behind. All of you are geniuses from the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Since you are able to participate in this grand banquet, one can see that your talent is extremely outstanding. However, the Dongshengshan Gate has never accepted mortals. Through this grand banquet, all of you will have a chance to join the Dongshengshan Gate. However, the Dongshengshan Gate will only accept 1,000 disciples. Next, there will be a battle waiting for all of you. Among you, the majority will be eliminated, leaving only 1,000. These 1,000, as long as they are willing, they can become nominal disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. This is the first step for them to take to enter the Dongshengshan Gate. On the stairway, an expert radiating immortal light walked out as he spoke to the tens of thousands of geniuses. With regards to his words, the crowd didn't feel surprised. What was the purpose of the Dongshengshan Gate gathering the 13 prefectures? It was naturally to strengthen their foundation and strength, selecting the most outstanding geniuses from the 13 prefectures. This is only the first round of the examination. The top 1,000 can all become external disciples. For those who pass, they will continue to participate in the next round. However, let's not talk about this for now. In any case, you all should know that if there's someone who can walk all the way to the end and become one of the top 3 rankers, his name would shake the world and become a nominal disciple of the Eastern Sage Great Emperor. There's even a chance for him to receive guidance from the Eastern Sage Great Emperor. In fact, if the Eastern Sage Great Emperor is fond of you, he might even accept you as his personal disciple. All of you must cherish this opportunity well. That expert spoke to the crowd. It was as though to everyone this was a great opportunity for them. Although these 10,000 plus people were all geniuses from the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, it was still an honor for them to enter the Dongshengshan Gate. Because the Dongshengshan Gate was the strongest power in the 13 prefectures. These people might very well be the most outstanding geniuses of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. However, the Dongshengshan Gate itself was a place where all the geniuses of the 13 prefectures were gathered. Among them, the majority would still be eliminated. 1,000 people were allowed to enter the Dongshengshan Gate. For the first test, the location will be the sacred cultivation ground of the Dongshengshan Gate, the Eastern Sage Cliff. The Immortal Foundation expert in the lead continued. The Eastern Sage Cliff was the most common cultivation ground for disciples below the Immortal Foundation realm of the Dongshengshan Gate. It was a sacred ground for cultivation, and this time around, it would be used as a tempering ground for the geniuses of the 13 prefectures. The Dongshengshan Gate placed great importance on this test. Once every 100 years, it would select geniuses from the 13 prefectures. The significance of this test to the Dongshengshan Gate was extraordinary as well. The Eastern Sage Cliff. Those geniuses who knew of this place all exclaimed in a low voice as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. Naturally, there were also many who had already guessed it. Because this time around the cultivation bases of the 10,000 plus geniuses were all different, ranging from the first level to the 9th level of celestial phenomenon. If one wanted to determine how strong their talent was, the Eastern Sage Cliff would definitely be one of the tests. The Eastern Sage Cliff didn't test one's cultivation base, only one state of heart and comprehension. Now all of you can follow me to the Eastern Sage Cliff of my Dongshengshan Gate. Right now, all the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate have already exited the Eastern Sage Cliff, leaving a place for all of you. Let's move out. That expert spoke. After that, he walked towards the depths of the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect. The others all followed after him and soared up into the air, soaring into the air. Although the Dongshengshan Gate was a sect, it seemed to be boundlessly vast, resembling an ancient city. There were countless majestic buildings in the city, and there were experts standing in the air, staring at them. Isn't this Dongshengshan Gate a little too big? Many people sighed. It was rumored that the Dongshengshan Gate had a total of 100,000 direct disciples, and over 1 million external disciples. If the troops of the Dongshengshan Gate were added in as well as the subordinates of the Dongshengshan Gate, the number of disciples could reach a terrifying number of over 10 million. This was the terrifying strength of a peak power in the immortal realms. They could easily conquer an entire region and control countless particle worlds. In front of the Eastern Sage Cliff, there were many disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect. When they saw the 13,000 geniuses arriving, their eyes gleamed with sharpness. Did these people also want to become disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect? I heard that there are many powerful characters in this batch. Let's hope they won't disappoint us too much. A young man crossed his arms in front of his chest as he spoke with a smile. The Eastern Sage Cliff was extremely vast, so vast that one couldn't even see the end of it. The surroundings were filled with ancient mountains and cliffs, and the entire Eastern Sage Cliff was enveloped by a strange light screen. This light screen seemed to be a supremely terrifying grand formation. Resplendent runes flowed on the surface of the light screen. forming an incomparably wondrous diagram, beautiful and mysterious. They interweaved together to form a marvelous law energy that permeated the entire eastern sage cliff. The immortal foundation expert stood in front of the eastern sage cliff. He turned his head and stared at the crowd as he spoke in a clear voice. The eastern sage cliff has its own set of laws. Once you enter, some of your energy will be sealed. However, this law energy will grant you a strength equivalent to a 9th level ascendant, as well as an inexhaustible supply of astral energy. Anyone can fight crazily but your constellations. Innate techniques will all be temporarily sealed. The only thing you can use is the power of your astral souls. There's no way to imprison astral souls, that's your innate talent. Your constellations were also born from your comprehensions, but because of the difference in your cultivation basis, the eastern sage cliffs decided to imprison them to prevent them from interfering with your battles. Naturally, we won't seal your bloodlines as well. That's something you were born with. That immortal foundation expert explained. Everyone naturally understood what he meant. Astral souls were a part of their innate talent. If their astral souls were strong, they were strong. If they were weak, they were weak. Hence, they wouldn't be sealed. Originally, constellations were the same as well. However, the disparity in comprehension between 1st level ascendants and 9th level ascendants was simply too great. Even if the eastern sage cliff bestowed them with the same amount of energy, the disparity in their comprehension of the constellations would easily result in a disparity in strength. Hence, the eastern sage cliff decided to seal them. His bloodline was the same as his astral souls. It would always follow Wuxiu and wouldn't be sealed as well. As for innate techniques and cultivation arts, they were all sealed because there might be people who had comprehended powerful innate techniques and cultivation arts while there were others who didn't. However, these were all outsiders and were different from astral souls and bloodlines. This could still be changed. Go on. The eastern sage cliff is a place where many immortals of the Dongshengshan Gate comprehend their cultivation. There are plenty of good fortune waiting for you, and if you can grab hold of it, your strength would definitely be much stronger after exiting. In addition, there are many small-scale spatial formations within the eastern sage cliff. If you wish to exit, you only need to step into one and activate it. The remaining 1,000 participants will be considered to have passed the test. Now you all can enter. After speaking, that person stepped aside, revealing the boundlessly vast eastern sage cliff before everyone's eyes. Forgetting yourself and comprehending your own strength, this is what it means to cultivate in a state of selflessness. That immortal foundation expert spoke in a low voice. A moment later, the crowd all sped towards the eastern sage cliff. Bright lights flashed unceasingly as numerous silhouettes madly entered. The eastern sage cliff, the path of selflessness. Let's go. Qin Wentian and the others stepped out together, directly entering the light screen. In an instant, a spatial energy enveloped them, and after that, Qin Wentian only felt his body being enveloped by spatial energy. In an instant, he appeared within the eastern sage cliff. Standing alone on this vast land, the light screen in the air transformed into law energy that flowed unceasingly into his body. An incomparably powerful law energy seemed to be rewriting his physique, and in just a short instant, Qin Wentian felt an incomparably vast energy surging within him. The law energy in the air seemed to be resonating with his body, forming a mysterious connection that was impossible to sever. Is this the power of a 9th level ascendant? Next, for those who enter the eastern sage cliff, they would all have the same level of strength. For now, the only difference would be in terms of bloodline and astral souls. Qin Wentian surveyed the interior of the eastern sage cliff as his perception frenziedly extended outwards. He discovered that there was only a single person within. From this, one could very well imagine how vast the eastern sage cliff was. That is, Qin Wentian saw a golden spatial diagram on the ground. This should be the small-scale spatial formation that the immortal foundation expert spoke of. It had a connection with the light screen in the air, allowing one to teleport out directly after stepping into it. It could be used for fleeing in the middle of a battle, avoiding death. Sounds of sonic booms rang out, and an instant later, a person appeared not far away from Qin Wentian. This was none other than the only person he could sense. Evidently, this person had also discovered him, Qin Wentian. Someone from the Jing prefecture. Qin Wentian glanced at the medallion on the person's chest. This person's ranking in the Jing prefecture wasn't low. He was ranked 96th BZZ. A resplendent astral soul appeared around that person. It was a fearsome, ferocious primordial bird, causing a pair of wings to appear on his back. A baleful aura gushed forth as he sped towards Qin Wentian. That person grabbed out with his palm as a terrifying might directly blasted out, akin to the sharp claws of a ferocious primordial bird. Over 10,000 participants, only 1,000 would be chosen. Everyone was very clear what this meant. For the remaining participants, they would either die or use the small-scale spatial formation to scram out. Qin Wentian blasted out with his palms, subconsciously unleashing an innate technique. However, an instant later, he discovered that a mysterious law energy directly interrupted his palm imprint. There was no longer any gigantic palm imprint. His innate technique had already been sealed. This kind of sealing was a type of law destruction. Bang! His opponent's ferocious claws slashed over. With a light swishing sound, Qin Wentian was forced backwards as traces of blood could be seen on his arms. The strength of the two of them was the same, both at the 9th level of celestial phenomenon. However, his opponent used the power of his astral souls. Qin Wentian acted hastily because of his habit of using innate techniques, and not using the power of his astral souls. He was forced back with a single strike. This Eastern Sage Cliff sect is truly fair. Qin Wentian's lips curled up in a smile, yet he only saw a mocking expression flickering on his opponent's face. He then stared at Qin Wentian, ranked 27th in the Cloud Prefecture? Seems like you're nothing much. Chapter 825. If I were you, I wouldn't be in such a hurry to deal with the others. After all, given your strength, you can easily scram if you encounter any powerful opponents. Don't tell me you think you can do whatever you want in the Eastern Sage Cliff just by condensing an astral soul from the 6th heavenly layer? Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice as he stepped out. Hints of mockery could be seen in his eyes, and as he spoke, he released his 2 astral souls. One was the Demon Sovereign Astral Soul, while the other was a Sword-type Astral Soul. Instantly, his silhouette grew increasingly demonic as a terrifying sharpness exuded from him. Only so. Qin Wentian released another astral soul. This time it was a devilish body with 3 heads and 6 arms, causing his physique to grow taller and more imposing. These 2 astral souls were his 4th and 5th astral souls, originating from the 5th and 6th heavenly layers respectively. The astral souls of these geniuses weren't something the geniuses of particle worlds could compare to. A demonic blood-colored light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes as the demon sovereign astral soul behind him grew even more violent. Terrifying blood-colored runic light circulated around his body. This was the power of his bloodline, it wasn't a sealing technique. However, his opponent also released the power of his bloodline, causing his strength to grow even stronger. There were many geniuses in the immortal realms who had the power of their bloodlines. It's just that some of them were ordinary, while some of them had unique bloodlines. The 2 of them finally neared each other. Qin Wentian blasted out with his palms, not using any innate techniques, only the purest form of strength. His opponent had 3 heads and 6 arms, and all 6 of his arms blasted out at the same time. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and at the same time his astral souls also shot out towards his opponent. Bang! A violent surge of energy akin to that of a demon king erupted forth, tearing apart his opponent's arm. Qin Wentian's demonic king bloodline gushed forth as his entire person was enveloped by a terrifying ancient demon. A terrifying demonic silhouette actually appeared, peering down with disdain on all living beings. The explosive force of that punch directly sent his opponent flying through the air as he coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. The other party's expression turned sluggish. His silhouette flickered as he rapidly retreated. Looking at Qin Wentian, who was like a demon king, a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. Qin Wentian didn't give chase when he saw his opponent leaving. He retracted his aura as sword chi whistled through the air. Stepping on the sword chi, he soared towards the horizons. This was the holy ground of cultivation for disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, the Eastern Sage Cliff. There would surely be many miraculous things about it. Since the first test was held here, it wouldn't be so simple as comparing astral souls and bloodlines. An instant later, Qin Wentian arrived at a precipitous cliff. This precipitous cliff was extremely smooth, and there were many stone platforms at the bottom. Footprints could be seen on each of the stone platforms, and there seemed to be many people comprehending the innate techniques engraved on the precipitous cliff. There were many diagrams engraved on the smooth cliff. Wind rocks of different shapes and sizes appeared, and there were actually lines flickering on them. It was as if these wind rocks were living creatures. From the bottom to the top, they broke through the air step by step, riding the wind as they transformed into wind rocks, soaring through the clouds. This is a set of movement techniques. Qin Wentian instantly understood. This movement technique should have been created by the predecessors of the Dongshangshan Gate. His eyes flashed as he memorized the diagrams in his mind, after which, he started cultivating in his dreamscape. It was as though he himself had transformed into a wind rock. Every movement of the diagrams was reflected in his mind. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Qin Wentian soared up into the skies. He didn't step on the sword might, but instead he actually transformed into a wind rock. The shadow of a wind rock could be seen around him, as though he had already transformed into a wind rock. This movement technique was left behind by the predecessors, and was an immortal art. It was most suitable for those who were proficient in the energy of wind and space. When one cultivated it to the peak, they would transform into wind rocks, capable of traversing through the void and traversing 1,000 miles with a single flash. However, Qin Wentian didn't stay behind to comprehend the true essence of this immortal art. Although this movement technique was powerful, it wasn't suitable for him. Not only that, if he wanted to comprehend immortal energy, he would have to spend a lot of time. Hence, he only comprehended the wind rock form that was suitable for celestial phenomenon ascendance before he left. Qin Wentian soared in the wind, and along the way, he met several people who were all searching for a place to cultivate. Qin Wentian didn't stop at all. When they saw Qin Wentian's movement technique, they all wanted to chase after him. This movement technique was simply too fast. Since this young man was able to comprehend it in such a short period of time, his comprehension ability must definitely be extraordinary. Sword arts. Qin Wentian, who was in the air, abruptly saw a fearsome sword qi gushing forth from the stone rampart below. His silhouette flickered and swiftly appeared in front of the stone rampart. There were many footprints here as well, and there was a shadow flickering about on the stone rampart, resembling a living creature. His sword qi was extremely terrifying. The speed of his sword was as fast as lightning, while the speed of his sword was like the tempestuous waves of a tsunami. His movements were both incomparably violent. Beside Qin Wentian, there was another person quietly cultivating. This person was none other than a supreme genius of the Eastern Prefecture. Although Qin Wentian appeared, he didn't even glance at Qin Wentian. He was quietly immersed in his own comprehension. He was very clear that the Eastern Sage Cliff was a holy ground for cultivation. Here, other than fighting head-on, one must also do their best to cultivate to the peak of their strength, increasing their own strength. Once one's strength reached a certain level, how could they not persevere until the very end? Only by strengthening one's body would one be able to enter the upper echelons. Looking for others to battle with, that was simply foolishness. Only those with weak talent would do so. Qin Wentian stood on another stone platform and stared at the immortal ranked sword art inscribed on the stone rampart. In just an instant he was completely immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. This sword art was extremely profound and contained boundless might. Very swiftly, he came to a scene where a person was cultivating the sword. His sword was as fast as the wind, so fast that one couldn't even see the sword itself, only sword shadows could be seen. When the sword was slow, it would slash apart the mountain rampart, and at the very end, the might of the immortal sword would be unleashed. This sword art was very similar to the immortal sword arts Qin Wentian had cultivated before. The immortal vanquishing swordplay was an immortal art that ignited one's body to increase one's strength. It was suitable to be used when fighting with one's life on the line. As for this sword art, it was a true combat sword art. Now that Qin Wentian wielded the demon sword, he truly needed a sword art to complement it. Qin Wentian was soon immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. After a period of time, although he still stood there quietly, traces of terrifying sword qi radiated from him. In the surrounding space, numerous silhouettes of Qin Wentian could be seen. These silhouettes were all born for the sake of the sword. The two of them stood 300 meters apart, not disturbing each other as they quietly comprehended the sword art. This state of comprehension lasted for a month. During this period of time there were many geniuses who passed by, but they didn't disturb them. In the entire eastern Sage Cliff, there weren't many battles that occurred. These geniuses from the 13 prefectures all had extraordinary temperaments, and very soon, they all understood why this place was known as the Holy Land for cultivation at the Dongshangshan Gate. There were actually all sorts of movement techniques and secrets within. If they didn't cultivate it properly, it would truly be a waste of heavenly treasures. Today, in front of the stone rampart, regardless of Qin Wentian or the other expert, both of them radiated terrifying sword qi. The sword qi of the two of them seemed to faintly converge. Abruptly, the eyes of that expert snapped open as a dazzling sword light flashed within, after which his silhouette flickered as he transformed into a fearsome sharpness, directly piercing towards Qin Wentian. That beam of light was sufficient to slash Qin Wentian apart in an instant. It was extremely dangerous. However, at the instant his silhouette descended, terrifying waves of sword might gushed forth from Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian seemed to be moving very slowly. Yet when he slashed out with his sword, it actually contained a heaven-rending might that could cleave apart the heavens and earth. A beam of sword qi directly arced through the air, leaving a terrifying sword scar on the ground. The eyes of that expert were like supreme swords, capable of penetrating the hearts of others. Humming sounds of sword qi rang out as the two of them sped towards each other. In just an instant, a towering sword might gushed forth, as though the entire space was filled with sword shadows. In a short instant, both of them had manifested a total of 81 sword shadows, exuding an extremely terrifying sword qi. If the current Qin Wentian encountered the Qin Wentian who had just entered the eastern Sage Cliff, he would be able to defeat him with ease. In order to enter the eastern Sage Cliff, one had to work hard to raise their strength. If not, no matter how strong one's astral soul or bloodline was, they would be eliminated sooner or later. In the blink of an eye, both of them had unleashed over 300 sword strikes before they finally separated again. The other expert floated in the air, casting a serious glance at Qin Wentian. Cloud Prefecture. Qin Wentian 27. His opponent stared at Qin Wentian. Eastern Prefecture. Jing Yunhe. Number 5. Qin Wentian stared at the medallion hanging on his opponent's chest as he spoke. This person was ranked number 5 in the Eastern Prefecture. His comprehension of swordsmanship wasn't inferior to Qin Wentian at all. You have the qualifications to advance and won't be eliminated. As the sound of Jing Yunhe's voice faded, his body transformed into a beam of sword light that soared up into the skies, not continuing to battle. Qin Wentian also transformed into a wind rock, riding the wind and treading on the waves as he advanced towards the depths of the eastern Sage Cliff. Qin Wentian sped through the air, peering downwards. Abruptly, his eyes flashed as he saw several silhouettes appearing in front of a cave dwelling. All of them were hesitating, standing there, not daring to enter. Before them, there were several corpses lying quietly on the ground. Some of the corpses were badly mutilated. It was evident that they had all been killed. It was an extremely miserable sight to behold. What's in the cave dwelling that caused such an intense battle to occur? Qin Wentian halted in the air as he stared at these people. These people came from different prefectures, and there was even one who was ranked number 46 in the Thunder Prefecture. All of them were hesitating outside the cave, not daring to enter. Their eyes flashed with a hint of struggle. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he instantly descended. Momentarily, the gazes of these people all turned to him, their eyes gleaming with sharpness. "What's in there?" Qin Wentian asked. "Scram." One of them glared at Qin Wentian as he coldly spoke. Qin Wentian's silhouette was like a wind rock, akin to a bolt of lightning. A terrifying sword light slashed out, causing that person to retreat explosively. Rumbling sounds rang out as sword qi tore apart the skies. In the blink of an eye, numerous sword shadows appeared in the air, and in the next instant, a sword was pressed against the neck of the person who spoke. That person was drenched in cold sweat. As long as Qin Wentian waved his hand, he would die here. "Speak." Qin Wentian turned his gaze towards the cave dwelling. He didn't even bother to glance at that person. There are many true projections of an immortal foundation expert's cultivation path. That person hurriedly added. In addition, there's already someone in there who's extremely powerful. Sir, please be careful. This person intentionally spoke so clearly he didn't lie. Naturally, he hoped that Qin Wentian would spare him.